know.
Yeah, it's definitely her mic.
We are Southwest.
No national anthem.
Alright.
You gonna be on this side or?
Yeah. Let her do it.
That's really bad.
Thank you, guys. I'm excited to be here for this game. This is the first time that these two teams are going to meet. It's St. Francis and Lawrence Tech. And I talked to Coach Duvendek before today's game and asked him how he was going to prepare for this team. He said, first of all, St. Francis is a very fast-paced team. So the first and foremost thing they have to do today is take care of the football and be fundamentally sound, which is something that they've worked on, and they have to make sure that St. Francis earns their points tonight. Now, you got to think this statement kind of from last week at Nazarene when they lost the ball 5 times. 2 of those were lost, and they ended up being turnovers. So you got to hope that they worked on the ball security, which Coach Duvendek said they did. This is something he always puts emphasis on in practice. So hopefully the guys can take care of the ball better this week, even with the wet conditions. It's going to be an exciting game, everybody, and I'll be down here with some updates. Back to you guys in the booth.
67 degrees at game time. It is straight out noon.
A Saturday in late September is upon us. The weather is cool. The breeze is flowing. The rain is falling. The perfect recipe for college football in 2019. We are here at Blue Devil Stadium in Southfield, Michigan, the home of Lawrence Tech Athletics, where the Blue Devils attempt to get back to 500 after a loss to Olivet Nazarene last week. But this week they have the St. Francis, Illinois Fighting Saints. We've had quite the interesting schedule so far this season. I'm Chase Kaufman alongside Dylan Morello as we get set for game number 4 of 2019 season for this newly built program.
Yeah, good to be with you today, Chase, and it is a rainy day, but still beautiful for some football, especially for the Blue Devils back here at home. I'm excited to see how the Blue Devils really just respond to that tight loss last week to ONU, 49-31. I mean, they started that game really strong, Chase, with a 9-play drive. They went 52 yards before a fumble. Derek Hinton Jr. broke the single-game record for all-purpose yards that game, though, as well, getting a record kickoff return of 95 yards and a touchdown.
And the first play here is a run to the outside, and it looks like it's going to be about 10 yards right next to that first down marker. And we're going to see a lot of that from the St. Francis, Illinois Fighting Saints today. A powerful running team, don't throw often. We're going to see that from the running back and the quarterback as well.
Second down, less than a yard.
Major Deadman, number 7, is the quarterback for the Fighting Saints. He had a little bit of a rough go last week against Concordia, 0 for 8 in that game, 2 interceptions. Eventually got pulled, but the reason he's back out there is from what you see right now, a scramble that's going to take him all the way out to about the 36-yard line. They'll mark it at the 37. And a couple early first downs for the Fighting Saints here. And Dylan, this is what Lawrence Tech's had a problem with all season long, stopping the rush. You saw last week they gave up a ton of rushing yards. They really need to make these tackles and stop the St. Francis team because they'll run all day if you let them.
No, yeah, it really is about just finding those lanes, being able to grasp onto the player. It's tough, too, in these wet conditions. Expect a couple of tackles, a couple of slip-ups, but that's just the way the game goes when it is raining, and you're going to have to work through all that and just try to lay a hand on the body.
I'll give it to Dwayne Milton here, and he'll be stopped for no gain. Milton, a senior running back out of Machaney Park, Illinois. He's a transfer from Northern Illinois just last season. He's got 3 touchdowns on 54 attempts this year, 274 rushing yards. And the same set again, single back, 3 guys to the right. Number 80, Brandon Ruffin to his left. Ruffin, you got to keep an eye on him today. He's a track athlete. He's a good blocking wide receiver, but this passes to the outside to number 23, Michael Johnson. And he's gone all the way down to the 10-yard line, but there's a flag on the play.
Yeah, expect a big gain there from Johnson, just being able to catch and run with those balls, getting the extra yardage. It's going to be a big game for him and also the Blue Devils and each team just in general. The Fighting Saints are pretty much in the same position, Chase, as the Blue Devils. I mean, they're still trying to find their identity. They're sitting at 1-3 on the season. Every game they dropped really has been by huge margins. The last game against Concordia, 30-7.
And this ball will be moved back. So it'll Be a penalty on the Fighting Saints. And you spoke about identity, and it's a little tough to find your identity when you're playing so many good teams in such a short amount of time. They played the number 1 ranked team, Morningside. They played the number 3 ranked team, St. Francis, Indiana. And they played the number 6 ranked team, Concordia, in just 4 weeks. Major Deadman in the shotgun. Milton now to his right. Ruffin on the near side along with 2 other receivers in the slot. Fakes a pitch. Deadman up the middle, and he'll be stopped about the 21-yard line. And that tackle is made by number 19.
Ross Heron made the tackle.
Yeah, the QB for the Fighting Saints is going to be running a lot. Last game put up a couple big yards, got them their 1 touchdown. So the Blue Devils are going to have to look out for that, but also the passing game, as we've seen so far already, a big catch and run.
And this is a give to Milton, and he won't get much, maybe 4 yards.
Number 1, Dwayne Milton on the carry.
A good start for an offense that really hasn't done much this season. They were shut out in their first game. Finally got a win against Trinity International in week 3. Scored just 1 touchdown last week against Concordia. So they're looking to get a drive here early against the Blue Devils, who seem to struggle to stop the run at times.
That's the key really for any team, is just get off to a good start. I mean, both of them, like we said, they're kind of behind the 8 ball right now. St. Francis just trying to, even the gap they have in losses.
This is a screen pass out to Michael Johnson, the senior running back out of Plainfield, Illinois. Johnson, he's been in an elevated role this season, just 5 carries last year, but through 4 games this year, he's got 36 attempts, 155 yards, and a touchdown. And already, he's got a few yards on the day in just this first drive. Deadman again in shotgun. Milton behind him. Milton now out to his right. And again, the 3 wide receivers set out to the right, Ruffin all alone at the bottom. And they fake the give to Milton. Deadman is not going to be able to go anywhere. Nice tackle for loss by the Blue Devils there. Blue Devils did a nice job there reading that play, understanding that Deadman and Milton both running threats on this team. Make sure you keep your eyes on both. And they stopped him for a nice loss there. It'll be about 2nd and 14 on the 15-yard line now.
Just like you said, beautiful read there. If the quarterback is going to run around, might as well get him, try to sack him, put some hurt on him early in the game, because come down the latter stretches, if that's in his mind, he's definitely going to stop him from running 10 times out of 10.
Toss to Milton. Milton out to the left, and he'll be stopped by number 15. That's Xavion McDonald out of Grand Rapids, Michigan. And Milton gets out to about the 7-yard line. So it'll be 3rd and 7 now on the 8, and this is an important stop for the Blue Devils. See where they can get after allowing a lot of big chunk plays early on in this drive. Same set once again. Milton to his right. Ruffin alone at the bottom. 3 wide receivers to his right. Fakes the look, and an easy give to Milton for the first touchdown of the game for the Fighting Saints. The Fighting Saints out with an early lead, 6-0, a 5-minute, 16-second drive. And for the majority, the running game still strong for the Fighting Saints.
Yeah, right now just picking through the LTU defense. They're going to have a tough time here. Once again, a strong opponent. You can't really look at the record there of 1-3. They do stuff really well. And you've seen right now their running game on point. I mean, I'm just excited to see this afternoon really which team is going to respond nicely to their last loss, both of them coming off of losses. And right now, the Fighting Saints seem to be off and running.
That extra point good by number 83, Josh Holberry out of Huddersville, England. The Fighting Saints now take a quick 7-0 lead. See if the Blue Devils can come back with an answered touchdown. Be right back on the Lawrence Tech Sports Network.
Mic check.
Josh Holberry for the kickoff. And it's a short, high kick. That'll be caught around the 30-yard line. Steps out at the 34.
Ben Britton on the return.
That's Ben Britton, the freshman running back out of Hazlet, Michigan.
6-yard gain to the 34-yard line. Blue Devils start.
So the Blue Devils will start their drive at the 34-yard line after allowing a quick touchdown to the Fighting Saints, basically on the running game for the most part, other than a 25-yard pass. The Blue Devils have struggled with the run, especially last game against Olivet. They allowed 303 rushing yards against Olivet Nazarene last week. And the majority coming from that second and third quarter. They allowed 28 points in that third quarter. Here's a pass out to number 6. That's James Cartwright, the third. That's just his second reception on the season.
Blue Devils are going to have to use a lot of different players here today, try to mix it up, as not much going offensively recently. That last game was really close, though. I talked to their coaching staff. They said they had really good offensive instincts. Just at the end, really couldn't pull it off defensively. We've seen so far a little bit of the mishaps. Let's see how the offense can respond here.
And that's a mishap right there. Looks like a botch snap or maybe just a drop snap from Tyler Kolka, maybe on the handoff. That's going to be a loss of 4, but there is a flag on the play. And we all know Coach Duvendek, something he preaches is playing a full 60 minutes. And last week when I talked to him, he said they felt like he played only about 45 to 50 of those minutes. The other 10 to 15, they gave up big plays, missed tackles, costly turnovers, penalties. He always preaches playing a full 60 minutes, and that's something they did not do last game. This penalty will be a personal foul against the Fighting Saints, so it'll be an automatic first down for the Blue Devils. And Dylan, these are things they got to take advantage of, these costly penalties from the other team, and just drive on those. Don't take those for granted. Use something with those.
No, yeah, once again, you saw there's the little fumble, little mishap there on the snap. Then they get a penalty against the other team. They're going to take advantage of it. But that's the thing in football. It's just going to be lucky bounces. And when you do get the opportunity, you got to grasp it and go with it.
Blue Devils in the I formation here. Gives to Makai Otero, and he fumbles. And it looks like the Fighting Saints have the ball. And they will recover. The Fighting Saints recover the second fumble of the game from the Blue Devils. Blue Devils now with 2 fumbles, 1 lost. And that is not a good start from this Blue Devil offense.
Nah, we might have spoke too soon there, Chase. I mean, right away the Blue Devils have a turnover, fumble it. They now go for 15 and 5, and the fumble's lost. And that's not a good stat to have. I mean, especially when it's just a reoccurring problem here, Chase.
So now after allowing a 6-minute drive touchdown, the Blue Devil defense quickly has to get back on the field and stop them, the Fighting Saints, from going up 2-0. That fumble from Makai Otero. Makai's been mostly the third back in the rotation for much of the year until Ahmad Sabaw was hurt a couple games ago at Wisconsin Lutheran. I asked Jeff Duvendek if he would play, and he didn't want to give any extra information just based on HIPAA laws. Totally understood it. So we'll see if we see Sabaw out there tonight. I haven't seen much of him. It doesn't look like he'll play. Typically, he's a starting back along with Tanner Foley. And Makai Otero not taking advantage of his early start. And the Fighting Saints now at the 47-yard line.
Fighting Saints, too, only averaging 10 points per game here. So already knocking on that doorstep if they get a conversion.
And a couple quick passes. This one out to number 9, Justin Bruns. And Dylan, we're already seeing a quarterback change from the Fighting Saints. I already mentioned last week Major Dedman 0 for 8 last week against Concordia with 2 interceptions, one being late in the third quarter. And after he threw that interception, he was pulled for this guy right here, number 5, Jamal Salam. Jamal went 9 for 16 last week in just a little over a quarter, so obviously they like him more as the passing quarterback. So right now that we see him this early, I'm expecting to see a dual quarterback threat here this game from the Fighting Saints. And a deep pass out to Brandon Ruffin, number 80. And a nice pass breakup. That's number 9, it looks like, Christian Clark Broughton.
Beautiful play there to not get the pass interference. Just got into the hands, touched the ball, and you're just mentioning the QB change. I think it's really going to be a tough task for the Blue Devil defense here. They're going to have to really focus on and see who is going to be back there. You know, if it is the latter, he's going to be running more run plays. He'll run with his own feet. This guy's going to throw it more in Salam. So either way, both QBs bring something different to the table, and that's something the Blue Devil defense has to read and react off of.
And with this quarterback Salam out there, we're going to expect to see a lot of passes go to Brandon Ruffin's way. We already mentioned he's a track athlete. He's got 7 receptions, 91 yards on the year. And we'll get a timeout called here with 7 minutes and 30 seconds left in the first quarter. We'll be right back as the Blue Devils try to stifle this drive from the Fighting Saints. Stay up just one score. We'll be right back on the Lawrence Tech Sports Network.
So when a torn ACL and concussion threaten those dreams, choose the sports medicine team that treats the whole athlete. Henry.
Back here for the Blue Devils, taking on the St. Francis, Illinois Fighting Saints. The Fighting Saints with an early 7-0 lead and trying to make it a 2-score lead now with the ball at the 32-yard line of Lawrence Tech. Talking about Brandon Ruffin before we left. He is by far the number 1 wide receiver on this team. He led the team in receptions, touchdowns, and yards last season. He also led the Mid-States Midwest Association in receiving touchdowns last year with 14, and this is a dump-off pass to number 1, Dwayne Milton, and he will be stopped for about a gain of 1. So 3rd and long here now for the Fighting Saints.
Fighting Saints clicking at just over 33% proficiency on 3rd down. They're 19 for 57, so having some trouble there. Blue Devils trying to rally up the fans. Get a big stop here if they can.
Salam still the quarterback. Milton to his left. 4 wide receivers. Pass deep left. This is Brandon Ruffin. And it looks like it's going to be defensive pass and interference on Christian Clark Broughton. It looked like he got his left hand to the back of Brandon Ruffin there, and this is going to be a 15-yard penalty on the Blue Devils.
Yeah, the free hand kind of grabbed the nape of his neck there, pulled him down. Probably would have been a sheer catch as he really beat his defender. Took him to the inside and had the open lane, but once again, the discipline for the Blue Devils here, Chase, not happening and not being well.
And that's something I spoke with Jeff Duvendek last week about these penalties. He said some of them obviously could have been avoided. Some of them were pretty bad discipline penalties, like the roughing the kicker. But there's also penalties that some refs don't call, some do call, a few ticky-tack penalties. So he really wasn't all that worried about the penalties they had last week, 9 penalties for 95 yards. He said this week he really just wants his team to play that full 60 minutes, and the rest will take care of itself. Again, a 4 wide receiver set. This one, another deep pass. And this one is overthrown by Salam. That's to number 9, Justin Bruns. And it looked like he was open, but a little bit of a late pass, a little bit of a too much deep pass. Couldn't take advantage of it. He's 2nd and 10 now on the 16-yard line. You'll notice number 8 in the left slot. That is Jamil Salam. Number 5, Jamal Salam's brother. Last week against Concordia, they actually had a touchdown reception to each other. This is a give to Milton on the outside. Milton runs to the left, able to beat a man, and get all the way down to about the 4-yard line. And it'll be another first down for the Fighting Saints.
Nice tackle and wrap up there by Clark Broden. We mentioned that in the interlude there, just about the Blue Devils missing some tackles, able to get it there, stopping him on the 4th-yard line.
And that's something else Coach Duvedek spoke about last week. He said a lot of missed tackles really hurt the running game. They were in man coverage a lot, and obviously when you miss a tackle in man coverage, the next man up has got to come get him. You're not in a zone. There's not a guy there to help you. And Salam is going to keep this one as a run out of the shotgun position. He's not going to score. He's going to be down at the 1-yard line.
It's going to be a big goal line play here for the Blue Devils, really the first of the game, trying to keep this score, at least the offense, within striking distance here.
Second goal.
But if the defense isn't clicking and then the offense is just having turnovers, it's not going to be a recipe for success in the latter stages of this game.
Michael Johnson now the single back. Salam whispers something to his offensive lineman, but we're going to have a timeout here by the Blue Devils. That's the first of their half. Both teams called one timeout early in this first quarter. 5:25 remaining, 7-0 Fighting Saints, but the Fighting Saints looking to make it 14-0. Blue Devils trying to stop them. The running game has had to struggle this season, and this would be a big stand if they can get it. We'll be right back on the Lawrence Tech Sports Network.
At Henry Ford Health System, we treat the whole athlete, from surgery to cardiology, nutrition to performance conditioning, sports psychology to brain health, using the most innovative technologies like motion analysis and advanced treatments. We champion the whole athlete, from injury prevention and treatment to performance conditioning, with appointments with 24 business hours. Let us create a unique game plan for you, just like we do for the pros. Visit us at henryford.com/sports.
Back here at Blue Devil Stadium in Southfield, Michigan. Fighting Saints 2nd and goal around the 1-yard line. Michael Johnson, the senior running back, Plainfield, Illinois, stays in. He is to Salam's right. Number 81, Daniel Getch, out to the left. And an easy run in for the touchdown for Michael Johnson.
23 Michael Johnson on the carry for the St. Francis.
So the Fighting Saints take an early 2-touchdown lead here in the first quarter, and this is not the start Lawrence Tech wanted to see. Their defense had to come out again quickly, couldn't really catch their breath after an early fumble from Makai Otero on the offensive side. And the Blue Devils will pay for it. Now 14, trying to make it 14-0 will be Josh Holberry. Kick is up, and the kick is good. So a 14-0 lead for the Fighting Saints. And Dylan, this Blue Devil offense has to get something going. They can't go into the second half down 3-4 touchdowns. They've got to put up some kind of score.
No, yeah, it's amazing what confidence would do for you. If you just get one touchdown, it really changes the whole complexity of the game, and you see that just right now by the Fighting Saints. I mean, they haven't scored the first couple of touchdowns since they beat Trinity International University with a 27-22 win. That was on September 14th, so they've had a couple of games, a couple of days and weeks since they really had offensive success, kind of like the Blue Devils here. So they're probably relishing in it, and just watch on their sideline, their bench area, their players just brimming with confidence right now, especially when you get up to a 14-0 lead. It really changes the mindset going into any stage of the game.
And this was something we had to figure out for St. Francis, Illinois. We wondered what their identity would be, playing one not-so-good team, 3 really good teams, 3 of them being on the road. And I think we found out what their identity is here. They're a dual quarterback team. Whether they want to pass or run, they have the perfect quarterback for each situation. Kendall Williams is deep to receive. And this one will go to number 9, Christian Clark Broden. He's out to the 20, he's out to the 30, gets a block out to the 50, down to the 40, and he'll be pushed out at the 30-yard line. And Dylan, this is exactly what Lawrence Tech needed, down to the 30-yard line. They have to take advantage of this. A nice return from the freshman Christian Clark brought in, and he is slow to get up.
Now the Blue Devils exactly what they wanted to do here, get great field position and give the offense a fighting chance. Now you see right there the offense has come out. They're like, all right, fellas, we got good field position. We're going to have a chance here. They have at least 3 downs to work with. They just really have to start with keeping control of the ball. I know it is wet, but the Blue Devils have had some turnovers recently. Try not to pass it errantly. Just get open and use their feet as much as they can here on this possession here offensively.
They are led by number 17, Tyler Kolka, who fakes the give to Otero, brings it out to number 87, C.J. Thompson, who's across the 10, and will get down to the 5. So a nice 25-yard pickup early for the Blue Devils on this drive to the big target, C.J. Thompson, 6'4", 210 out of Alma, Michigan. He looks great this spring, and there is quite the presence about him at practice. One of the bigger guys. He's a reliable, sure-handed target. And he gets the second reception of the game for the Blue Devils. First one from James Cartwright. We got a flag on the play before the guys even get set on the line. Rain starting to fall here.
Illegal substitution against the Blue Devils.
And it'll be a legal substitution penalty against the Blue Devils. Makai Otero fumbled on just the second play of their first drive, but he is back out there. This kind of shows the trust that this team has in Makai Otero. He's really embraced the love the process mentality this season. And last week he took advantage of the new 2-back rotation with Ahmad Seba out. He had 13 carries for 73 yards. He worked out a lot this summer, and he is the single back in this formation. Kendall Williams at the bottom, the lone man down there. Kolka gives the snap, drops it, but there's a flag on the play.
Flag on the play.
And again, it looks like it's going to be on the Blue Devils, a false start penalty. Dylan, back-to-back penalties already here from Blue Devils after a nice 25-yard pickup.
No, yeah, once again, it's the discipline here, Chase. The Blue Devils get so close offensively, and then they just seem to have lackadaisical penalties. Coaching staff likes to call them those lazy penalties, ones that can be avoided, and right now the Blue Devils just really can't avoid them. And it's biting them into the behind right now as they're trying to, close out on this lead, cut it in half, and with the penalties, it's going to take a little bit of time.
Kolka takes the snap, gives it to Otero on the left side. Otero will get a nice 8-yard gain, it looks like, out of it. Wind also starting to pick up here.
Second down and goal.
This is when the conditions are going to get a little bit frisky as well. Could play into the advantage of either team. Ball, most likely, I would look to see it stay on the ground a little bit more often here as the wind is picking up. Rain a little bit.
Now the new back, number 30, Ben Britton, who looks like he's going to take a hold of that third back in the rotation, gets the pass out to the left side, and he'll be tackled for maybe a loss of 1. And something that I've already noticed, have not seen Derek Hinton Jr. yet this week, or this game rather.
Yeah, he was key for the Blue Devils offense last week. Set that record, and without him here on the field right now, let's look to see who's going to fill that role, as he's been pretty instrumental in the Blue Devils offense so far this season.
James Cartwright, a guy who could pick that up, and the pass, touchdown, C.J. Thompson, the sure-handed tight end with his second reception of the game, and the Blue Devils with a wide-open touchdown pass cut down this lead, 14-7.
Beautiful play by C.J. Thompson there, the tight end, just finding that open space, and he found a nice little pocket. He could just turn, pivot, and catch. Beautiful play there, easy pass, easy touchdown. The Blue Devils right there with a couple penalties, Chase, still find a way to cut into this lead.
The extra point is good. That's number 28, Brad Gibson. So the Blue Devils trying to find themselves out of that 14-0 lead. Get a nice return from number 9, Christian Clark Broden. A 25-yard pass to C.J. Thompson, and then another 7-yard touchdown pass again to C.J. Thompson, who gets his 13th reception on the year and his first touchdown. 2:51 remaining here in the first quarter. Blue Devils now down 14-7. I'm Chase Kaufman alongside Dylan Morello. This is the Lawrence Tech Sports Network.
Bronze go back for the Fighting Saints.
So, Dylan, we were talking about who's going to make up these receptions. It looks like Derek Hinton will not play in this game. He's down on the sideline, jersey on, but pads are off, not in game uniform. So there's going to be a lot of guys looking for these receptions. There's James Cartwright. We saw him get the first reception of the game. C.J. Thompson obviously had that touchdown. Kendall Williams is going to be a threat. He was second receptions this year with 13. Had a 66-yard receiving touchdown against Wisconsin Lutheran a couple weeks ago. And this return out to the 20, now out to the 30, out to the 38-yard line.
Yeah, it's really going to be a fill by committee there for the Blue Devils with catching wise. And, you know, that whole play started by the kickoff from Holberry. As last game as well, he did it against the Cardinals, and they went for 93 yards off of the kickoff. So the Blue Devils got a good gain there, and the offense was able to punch it in after a couple penalties. So the Blue Devil defense now is going to have to live up to that reputation of the offense coming through for their squad.
Punching it in was a problem last week at the end of the first half. Had the ball all the way down at the 1-yard line, first and goal. Wasn't able to punch it in 3 plays. Ended up botching the snap on the field goal. And this is a give on the handoff to number 3, Pierre Barberin. This is the first time we've seen him. And back out at quarterback is now number 7, Major Dedman. We saw him in the first drive, and he was able to do a lot with his feet. Saw number 5, Jamal Salam. In the second drive, he was able to do a lot with his arm. And it looks like the Fighting Saints are going to go back with the running first quarterback in Dedman.
Yeah, so we're able to pick that up here from the booth. I'm sure the coaching staff for the Blue Devils is able to see that on the sideline, definitely communicating it to their defensive core.
And a stop for no gain. And that was number 22, Mitch Waters, in on the tackle. Mitch, 7 solo tackles, 3 assisted tackles this season. A tackle and a half for loss. Out of Heartland, Michigan, the freshman. A finance major. Again, the single back set for the Fighting Saints. And Coach Duvendek said this is something we're going to see pretty much the whole game from the Fighting Saints. They really don't differ in their schemes too often. Again, with the 4 wide receiver set, Brandon Ruffin down at the bottom. And this pass will be way too deep. That was intended for number 1, Dwayne Milton, in the slot.
So right there trying to throw it were the Fighting Saints, and Milton unable to catch that one. As we mentioned before, this could be more of a running game, not a passing one. He tries the pass there. I think the third one of the game for him doesn't connect.
A nice 3 and out there from the Blue Devil defense. A much better start than the first 2 drives we saw them. And Kendall Williams will be back deep to receive this punt.
Yeah, that's exactly what I said. The Blue Devils need to do that, and the defense did it well. And it's a good response there for 2 touchdowns on the first 2 drives.
And a fair catch from Williams will be caught at the 31-yard line. That's where the Blue Devils will begin their drive here with just a minute left in the first quarter. Down 14-7, looking to make it 14-14. We'll be right back as the Blue Devils try to gain another touchdown on the Lawrence Tech Sports Network. Blue Devils back out. Tyler Kolka under the shotgun, or under the center, I should say. That's Ben Britton with the carry.
Number 30, Ben Britton with the
Not
carry.
going anywhere. Looks like a loss of 1. We really haven't seen Britton too much this
27,
season.
Mason DeLong made the tackle.
He's been the 4th running back for most of the year behind Otero, Sabaw, and Tanner Foley. We haven't seen anything from Tanner Foley yet either. So we'll see what's up with him.
Foley leads the Blue Devils in yards per game with 94. Haven't seen Sabah right under him, but by a landslide with 48.7 average.
Kolka with a pass out to the 41-yard line, and that is number 3, Marquise Steele. We haven't seen a lot of him either this year. We'll see if he can take an elevated role with Derek Hinton Jr. out in today's game. A big loss for the Blue Devils in Derek Hinton Jr., the Mid-States Football Association Mid-East Special Teams Player of the Week last week with a 95-yard kickoff return touchdown, 267 all-purpose yards, set the record for the Blue Devils. And here's a give to Otero. You'll see a lot of different running backs out here for the Blue Devils today, and I asked Coach Duvedek, how do they decide who gets most of the carries? And he said really it's on Coach Alex Belfi. He likes to see what the formation is out there, what kind of play call they're going to run, and just decide the best back for the Blue Devils during the play. End of the first quarter here. The Blue Devils trying to drive and make it a 14-14 game. Fighting Saints lead the Blue Devils, though, 14-7. And we'll begin the second quarter right after this.
You sit on the sidelines, but your heart is running across that field. His drive becomes yours, his dreams too. So when a torn ACL and concussion threaten those dreams, choose the sports medicine team that treats the whole athlete. Henry Ford Health System. We combine the most innovative technology with a personalized treatment plan so he can get back his confidence. And you can get back to being his biggest fan. Henry Ford Health System. All for you.
Back here for the start of the second quarter. Blue Devils down 14-7. Currently on their own 47-yard line, 2nd and 6.
Second down and 6.
It'll be Makai Otero in the backfield. It'll be a 2-back team for the Blue Devils today. Tanner Foley also out of this game. So a depleted offense for the Blue Devils. But looks like they're making good work of it and doing what they can. Makai Otero with a nice rush to the 45 for a first down, Blue Devils.
Beautiful there by Otero, just pushing through the defenders there, breaking some tackles. And the Blue Devils on first down get a nice set of downs. And that's exactly what they needed here. And like I mentioned before, Chase, as soon as you get one touchdown in, just the confidence swells up and you know you can do it, and that's exactly what the Blue Devils are fighting. They've really been fighting it all season, just lacking that confidence and believing in the system that their coaches are putting forth, and right now if they buy into it, they're going to come out successful in this one.
Single back formation here. The give is to Otero, and Otero will be stopped for looks like only about a gain of 1, maybe 2 on the play. Otero with 24 carries, 131 yards this season. But he's making quick work after an early fumble in this game.
He averages 43.7, so just right under Sabah in yards per game. They look to him a lot as well.
Still in the single back. This time it will be number 30. This passes out to Kendall Williams, number 2. And Kendall Williams looks like he'll be stopped It'll be a half yard short of the first down, so it'll be 3rd and inches at the 35-yard line. And obviously, if they don't get it here, you can probably assume they're going to be going for it on 4th down. Kai Otero checks back into the game.
Blue Devils clicking at 60% on 4th down conversions. They're 3 for 5. Hopefully they don't have to go to one right here. It is 3 and 1. Trying to punch it in. We said that that's been key for the Blue Devils to see if they can do it.
Cole Higley checks into the game. The give is to Otero, and he will get the first down. Typically, those situations are for Ahmad Sabal, the bigger back in the rotation, but he was injured against Wisconsin Lutheran late in the game. He's not in today's game, so one of these two guys, in Britton and Otero, is going to have to step up and be able to get those extra 2 yards when they know, when the defense knows that they're probably going to be running the ball. Otero still in the single back. Steele out on the far side. Williams in the slot. And we're going to get a false start on Steele at the far end.
Prior to the snap, false start, Blue Devils, 5-yard penalty.
Steele, a freshman out of Detroit, Michigan, a mechanical engineering major. It'll be 1st and 15 now at the 37.
Blue Devils closing in on 250 penalty yards on the season, including this game. That's going to be 31 penalties taken. So, once again, easily avoidable ones. You just get the first down, and now you have to step back another 5 yards. That's tough.
Kolka keeps it. A short pass to C.J. Thompson, wide open with space, gets all the way down to about the 26-yard line. And this will be a first down Blue Devils. 1st and 15 pass completion to C.J. Thompson. And he's already got a few receptions on the day early in this game.
Beautiful vision there by Kolka. I love how he stepped back. I mean, he really had to think fast there as his O-line pretty much got blown up in front of him. And he had to pass that one just quickly over the top, and C.J. Thompson, once again, the sure-handed tight end, he easily grabs that and gains some extra yards from it.
Ben Britton now the back, and the give will be to Britton, number 30, who gets a rush on the inside out to the 10, and he'll be out at the 3-yard line, found a nice hole, and got all the way down to the 3. And I would not be surprised if he stays in the game here for another run. And now checking in is the former wide receiver, now cornerback, Spencer Iaquinto. And he switched over to defensive back this season. But now with Derek Hinton Jr. out and a couple of running backs, we'll see if he can get himself a couple of receptions. He's on the far side one-on-one, as well as Kendall Williams on the far side. Britton's still the back. The give is to Britton, but he'll be stopped for, looks like, a loss of about 1 yard. It'll be 2nd and goal now.
Blake Evans made the tackle.
This is Britton's first carries on the season. Hasn't done anything in the first 3 games.
Down and goal.
So talk about an elevated role for Britton.
Yeah, that's what happens when people go down. It's a next man up type of attitude, and when you do get the opportunity to get there on the field, grab it by the horns and ride it out. Britton right now doing a good job setting a name for himself. The Blue Devils, though, in the red zone, not really, only clicking at 25%, 4 for 16. Let's see if they can do it here today.
Otero now in as the back. 3 wide receivers out to the right. The give is to Otero, and Otero is in for the touchdown. The Blue Devils have run along that left side pretty well all day. That's how they got down to that 5-yard line from that run from Britton. And they run pretty much the same exact play. And Otero is in for the touchdown. Blue Devils looking to tie this one up with the extra point pending.
Awesome job right there by the Blue Devils. I'm sure the coaching staff loves it. It's just the response. They go down by 2 possessions, and they come right back and storm to hopefully even up this game here, as that one will break the uprights, and the Blue Devils now 14-14, and Chase, it's really turning out to be a good one.
For sure, after just about 7 minutes into the game, the Fighting Saints with their first touchdown score again after an early fumble from the Blue Devils, but the Blue Devils take quick note of it, and tie this game up at 14-14. Just under 10 minutes left to play here in the first half. This is the Lawrence Tech Sports Network.
So you want to work out, and you're curious about supplements, but don't know where to start. All you have to do is, oh, you're already done. With the
Blue Devils now tie the game at 14 apiece, led by head coach Jeff Duvendek. Jeff, in his third year of coaching, just his second season of play. He has 16 years of coaching experience. He was the head coach at Culver Stockton from 2011 to 2016, a program that only had one win in 3 years before the arrival of Jeff Duvendek. So this ball is going to sail out of bounds, and this has been a problem a little bit for the Blue Devils. We've seen a few kicks that have gone out of bounds, allowing the opponent to get a nice opening start. They'll be at the 40-yard line from Brad Gibson. Back to Duvendek. He's had stints at Tiffin University, Grand Valley, Michigan Tech, and Northern Michigan. In total, he's coached 29 all-conference players, 10 All-Americans, 3 Conference Players of the Year, and 8 have eventually gone on to play in the NFL. A native of Flushing, Michigan. He was a running back at Central Michigan University in 2000, where he earned his bachelor's in health promotion and rehab. He also earned his master's in kinesiology in 2016 from MSU. Fighting Saints trying to look to answer the 2 quick touchdowns from the Blue Devils, and here's a chance right here, and he's out in the open. That's Dwayne Milton, number 1, and an early score for the Fighting Saints in that drive. And again, the running defense stifling the Blue Devils. That's been a problem. It was a problem for him last week against Olivet and Nazarene. And the Blue Devils will be down 21-14 PAT pending against the Fighting Saints. A quick drive. And this defense is going to come right back off the field. Offense going to step right back on.
Yeah, that's tough, especially when you just evened up the score. The fans were pumped up. Everyone was cheering. Everybody's getting going. And if that play right afterwards, a touchdown and just one really quick handoff, and it's tough. I mean, the offense, they want to get reps, but not that fast, as they're going to have to look again to answer.
And last week, Coach Duvendek, as I already mentioned, a lot of those runs were based off missed tackles and man-on-man situations. And that one wasn't even a missed tackle. They just had a lot of gaps there that the Blue Devils couldn't close. And Dwayne Milton, the running back, takes advantage of it for his second touchdown of the game. That was only like a 9-second drive there. We were talking about Coach Jeff Duvendek, and I asked him who's his mentor as a coach, who has he tried to emulate, and he said there's a lot of guys that he's tried to emulate. Of course, one, Mark D'Antonio at MSU, and even before that, he's gotten information from him when he coached at Cincinnati, when he was an assistant at Ohio State. Brian Kelly, Butch Jones, but really he steals stuff from a lot of guys, from peers, from opponents, from bosses, and he's taken things like schemes, practice approach, even relationship tactics during the off-season, during the on-season. 21-14 Fighting Saints, Josh Holberry back to kick, and it's an unintentional squib, it looks like, but this one rolling all the way down to about the 8-yard line. Kendall Williams picks it up, and he is not going to be able to go anywhere down at the 9-yard line. So what looks like might be a kick that the Blue Devils could take advantage of, not able to be picked up, and the Blue Devils will start their drive at the 9-yard line.
Tale of two tapes there as the Fighting Saints started out at the 40-yard line, and now the Blue Devils are pinned down at a complete opposite. And that's sometimes, once again, those lackadaisical plays. The wind is picking up, so maybe that participated in Gibson's kick out of bounds there on the kickoff. But nonetheless, the Blue Devils pinned down right now in their own end. They're going to have to try to fight out of this. A lot of yards to get down the field.
Single back formation. C.J. Thompson is tight end to the left. And the give is to the running back. It'll be about a gain of 3, maybe 4 on the play. Makai Otero, the starting back for this drive and the starting back for the game. James Cartwright now subs in.
Good start off on this drive right now, especially when you have a lot of yardage to make up. It's just about chipping away, whittling away, and once again just pushing forward, trying to get those first downs quick and easy.
Williams, the lone receiver up top. The give is to Otero once again. Otero finds a nice hole for a first down out to the 25-yard line. And the Blue Devils with a nice run once again. Blue Devils doing a really nice job finding those holes. And Otero will head out.
Otero's been called upon when they really needed him most. And he's been doing great as he finds that hole, plows through. And I love his play. Just even when you don't think he's going to be able to get an extra yard, he still does.
Britt in the back will not give to him. The passes to number 87, C.J. Thompson, for his 4th reception of the game, but will only gain about 1 on this play. A lot of short little hitch routes for C.J. Thompson early here in the game. But as we saw, a couple of them have broken for a lot of yards. A couple of them have done that. And if I'm the Blue Devils, I'll take my chances on those, whether I get 1 or 25 yards, get those 25-yard gains, and open up the running game a little bit more.
Yeah, Thompson's a big body, but I just love how he really gets lost in coverage there. He comes down under, and he finds a hole and just gets his hands on the ball, and you saw he already had a touchdown once.
Britt in the back, tripped up, it looked like by his own feet. The run would have been out to the left once again. It didn't look like he probably would have gotten many yards out of it, but obviously a loss of 1 is worse than a gain of 2. So it'll be 3rd and long now for the Blue Devils, about 3rd and 11, maybe 3rd and 12. And I'd really like to see Kendall Williams get into this game a little bit more. The 5'6" sophomore wide receiver out of Florida really worked on his route running this season. It looks like he's got man coverage down on the far side, and they will give to Williams, but it will be overthrown. Williams was in the slot there, and the pass was just out of his reach. And a drive with a nice early run by Makai Otero will be stopped on the very next series of downs. It'll be 4th and 11, and the Blue Devils will punt.
Yeah, Blue Devils only clicking at 37% on 3rd downs and 16 for 43, so that number is going to go down here in this game. They already couldn't get it past the 3rd down twice. And right there, once again, the weather, maybe the wet conditions contributing to that, as a little slip-up was the loss of 1.
It was Brad Gibson out to punt there. This is number 9 on the return for the Fighting Saints. That's Justin Bruns. Typically, we see number 27, Michael Fox, back to punt. That time, it was 28, Brad Gibson. So a short drive not going anywhere for the Blue Devils after giving up a touchdown in 1 play. We'll punt it right back, and the Fighting Saints will start at their own 47-yard line, so pretty good field position.
7-yard return. Fighting Saints start first and 10 for their own 47-yard line.
Now this is when the Blue Devil defense is going to be called upon once again. They had a nice 3-and-out in the drive before the last.
And this is a run from Michael Johnson here, able to break a tackle out to the 30-yard line, now out to the 20, and just pushed out of bounds by number 15, Xavion McDonald.
23, Michael Johnson on the carry.
And it's these runs to the outside that have really been stifling the Blue Devils so far in the game. See there once again, a huge run to the outside all the way down to the 10-yard line. And I would say the Blue Devils try to stay more aggressive, stack the box, but obviously if they're going to do these runs to the outside, there's really not much you can do. Again, the give to Johnson will only gain about a couple on this play. Brought down by number 55, Charlie Riddle, on the defensive line. And this defensive line, there was a lot of open spots early on in the season. There was 4 open spots on the D-line to start, so basically the entire defensive line And one guy in particular that has taken a huge jump from last year is Will Sturts, number 44, the 6'4" sophomore. Last year, only 1 tackle, and now 10 tackles in just 3 games. And all those tackles, those 10 tackles are solo tackles. He's got 4 assisted tackles, along with a sack out of Waterford, Michigan. So a big jump from Sturts. The give is to Milton on the sweep, and he won't go anywhere. It'll be 3rd and long now for the Fighting Saints.
You got to tip your cap, too, to the offensive coordinator for the Fighting Saints, Matt McCarthy, as really he's seen the little hole the Blue Devils have in their running protection and defensive awareness to the run, and right now they're exploiting that. They just tried 3 consecutive run plays. Blue Devils kind of reading and reacting. They're adjusting their game nicely. Had 2 tackles for a gain of not much in the last 2 runs by St. Francis.
Michael Johnson still the back. As you said, Dylan, the offensive coordinator, Matt McCarthy, in his 8th season. Deadman will keep it. A pass out to number 44 in for the touchdown. And the Fighting Saints will take now, again, a 2-touchdown lead.
Michael Whitney there with the catch and touchdown. Beautiful play as he just took an outside route, easily beating the Blue Devils there. And once again, he's a big body as well.
And that's the problem with having a dual threat quarterback out there. You're not sure whether he's going to run, whether he's going to throw. That was one of his few passes today. That was a wide open target. And this game is now 28-14. So it looks like the Blue Devils were on their way to taking the lead after scoring a quick 2 touchdowns to make it 14-14, but a 1-play drive a couple drives ago for the Fighting Saints made it 21-14, and a drive that started at the 47-yard line of the Fighting Saints, a quick one again to make it 28-14, and the Blue Devils offense has got to get something going here and help out their defense, who really hasn't done much against the run today.
No, once again, I gave the Blue Devils credit for their response after going down by 2 possessions. And now I got to give credit to the Fighting Saints. The Blue Devils evened it up, and they've regained that 2-possession cushion. And that's exactly what they drew up, what they game planned. And the Blue Devils are going to have to talk it over right now and try to figure out how to climb back in the game. Once again, it's tough, Chase, when you really play the whole game from behind. It's just a different mindset. You're kind of forcing plays a little bit more on the back of your heels, so to speak. And the Blue Devils, if they're going to have success just throughout this season, I've seen it in the prior games. When they play from behind, it's tough to come back, especially in the league as challenging, as this one. Every team is strong.
That touchdown was to number 44, Keegan James. And that was his first reception on the year. James Cartwright back to receive, finds a little bit of a hole, gets through, 1 man to beat. That's the kicker, gets a block, and the kicker able to get him down at the 35-yard line. Dylan, he had a block in front of him, but the kicker made a nice play, Holberry, to get him down at the 35-yard line. I thought he was gone when he had 1 man to beat the kicker with a blocker in front of him.
I know, Kendall Williams was a blocker in front of him. I think the kicker faked him left and went right, was able to get a leg on him, or arm, on his leg. And wow, the Blue Devils, that's exactly what they wanted. I said, what's their response going to be? And that's exactly what started their last response when they evened up this game, was a big, big run off of the kickoff.
Ben Britton will start out as the back for the Blue Devils. They'll start at the 35-yard line. Spencer Iaquinto now on the near side in as wide receiver. He's going to double up as a cornerback wide receiver. A nice run from Ben Britton here, making his first start of the season. We saw this drive a couple drives ago where the Blue Devils were able to get the kickoff down to the 25-yard line. A nice reception from C.J. Thompson and in to score. We'll see what they can do with it here.
Yeah, Britton's been strong this game. I really like what I'm seeing from him. I mean, this is the first time, as you just mentioned, that we've seen him this season, and he's really coming into his own, and he's came into the game and has took it, and I see his confidence brimming, and they're giving him the ball, so might as well keep going.
A fake to Britton, a give outside. That's Kendall Williams. Kendall out to the 15, down at the 5-yard line. A nice fake to Britton there. A toss behind him was Kendall Williams, and there was nobody there to cover him. Found a hole out to the left and got it all the way down to the 5-yard line. And it's nice to see Kendall Williams get some work in this game late in the second half. He was second in receptions this season, coming into this game with 13. Last season, he led the team with 5 receiving touchdowns, and he is out on the far side now. Steele in the slot. Otero now the back. Kolka under center. The give is to Otero. And the Blue Devils, who have been eating up that left side all day, can't get anything going on that run. It'll be 2nd and goal now.
Yeah, it's a beautiful fake when even the camera has to step back a little bit. I mean, that's when you know it's executed to perfection. The Blue Devils using it nicely here. Kolka really hasn't been throwing too much this game. When it has been, it's just been a quick, as we mentioned, over the top, little short passes. So maybe once again, as we said before, the weather, the wind, maybe contributing to that, trying to keep the ball on the ground as much as possible. But if the Blue Devils, if it's working, I would keep going to it.
Hasn't thrown much, but is doing pretty well. 8 for 9. Back to throw here. Looks right, looks left, throws short. And that is the running back, Makai Otero, who is not going to be able to go anywhere. That looks like a loss of about 1. Kolka now 9 for 10, about 70 passing yards, a touchdown on the day. That was to C.J. Thompson for the first score.
You got to give the Fighting Saints credit too as well. I mean, maybe if he is throwing those short passes, I mean, that's just the good coverage downfield by the Fighting Saints. The only really opening is, as you saw, Otero, the running back there, getting the pass.
Britton now will be the back. Otero comes out. 2 wide receivers to the left. Double tight end formation. Fakes a pass. And this pass is caught for a touchdown. Again, number 87, C.J. Thompson, for his 2nd touchdown of the game. The second connection between Kolka and C.J. Thompson. The Blue Devils make it a 1-score game.
Beautiful play there. The first really long pass by Kolka. You saw that he was looking to run. He was looking to use his own feet to get some extra yards, but he looked up that last little look up for him, and he saw C.J. Thompson there in the back, and he really had to tiptoe the line, and he pulls it down beautifully. The Blue Devils now cut into the lead once again.
Kolka actually had a wide receiver down in the botch snap from Gibson. Gibson able to come up with it, throws it not towards deep enough in the end zone. And again, a botch snap, just like last week, the end of the first half. The Blue Devils still down 1 score, 28-20, but a nice drive there from the Blue Devils, capped off by a kickoff return by Kendall Williams early in the drive. And the Blue Devils down 28-20 with just under 2.5 minutes to go here in the first half. See if the Blue Devils can stop the Fighting Saints on what should be their final drive of the half. We'll be right back on the Lawrence Tech Sports Network. Blue Devils back to kick. And it'll be taken by number 80, Brandon Ruffin, the top wide receiver on this team. Cuts out to the left, able to get around a man, and he'll be out at about the 26-yard line, and that's where the Fighting Saints will start their drive. The Fighting Saints of St. Francis, Illinois, is coached by Joe Curry. He is in his 8th season, a 39-37 overall record as head coach. This is his 19th year with the program. He actually started as a defensive line coach in 2001 and played for 3 years for this team before that as a defensive lineman. He was the Ferris State defensive line coach for 3 years, became the defensive coordinator of St. Francis, Illinois from 2005 to 2011, and now you see him as the head coach here for the Fighting Saints. He was named the Assistant Coach of the Year back in 2008 in the MSFA Midwest League. And he was actually named the Coach of the Year in the MSFA Midwest League in 2015 when he earned a share of the conference title and a final number 18 ranking. This run will go nowhere, a gain of just 1 yard.
Like that play by the Blue Devil defense there, stopping that run. And once again, if they're going to go to it, that's the adjustment the Blue Devil defensive coordinator has to make with his D-core. As once again, they are versatile QBs back there, so you never know if they're going to pass or throw.
This is Jamal Salam who gets the pass out on the left side. And that is to the big tight end, number 89, Malik Roberts. This is the first time we're seeing him today, the junior tight end out of Naperville, Illinois. He had 17 receptions, 157 yards last season, 7 receptions, 82 yards this season. Just under a couple minutes to play in this second half. We're going to get a new play clock for the Fighting Saints. 3rd and 2. This would be a big stop for the Blue Devils if they get it here. Force them to punt with a couple timeouts left and just over a minute and a half to play. We'll have to see if the Blue Devils can do something here. They'll give the run to Milton. Milton to the outside, makes a man miss. Makes another man miss. And he's finally tackled down at the 38-yard line. He's downed by number 55, Charlie Riddle, as well as number 42, Drake Berry out of Oxford, Michigan. Not what the Blue Devils wanted to see with 3rd and short in St. Francis territory, now at the 38-yard line of Lawrence Tech. And St. Francis over a minute to play, 2 timeouts, can easily get in with the touchdown here with the big plays we've seen today. Salam deep left side. Ruffin with a one-handed grab. What an amazing catch from Ruffin there. He was covered by number 25, Miles Young, who rotated in and out last season, appeared in 6 games, who even got a hand on it. That was a questionable no call there from Miles Young. What a catch from Brandon Ruffin, the big wide receiver out of Peoria, Illinois, 6'4", made an amazing catch there.
One of those plays you really open your mouth and all at, as it's been a couple of times where those throwing plays you don't expect them. The Blue Devil defense did not. In that one-handed snag, a highlight reel play for sure. And now the Blue Devils really trying to hold off the Fighting Saints to really only be down by 1 possession or a little bit more, by 8 points before the end of the first half.
Short run covered up by the captain, 21, Robbie Best there. A give again to Milton. And Milton will be stopped just shy of the goal line. It'll be about the 3-yard line. Under 30 seconds to play. St. Francis with 2 timeouts. Not using them right now. Very questionable call. 3rd down right now. 2 timeouts. You'd think you'd call a timeout, be able to run your plays. And now they'll call a timeout. And the clock will stop at 11 seconds, I guess. Call a timeout, run a play here. Drop it down to about 5 seconds. And then possibly kick the field goal or go for it. But seems like if Lawrence Tech gets one of those penalties that were an automatic 1st down, you want as much time on the clock as possible. Now the Blue Devils have the opportunity to just play really aggressive defense here and let the clock run out.
Yeah, it's tough. It's one of those catch-22 moments. I think it's because the Blue Devils really, on those kickoffs, have been returning it for huge yardage here, Chase. And I think they really, I guess it's lack of trust in that special teams unit. But nonetheless, they're going to try to punch it in here and leave the Blue Devils really with probably no time or less than 5 seconds to work with.
They did add 2 seconds back up on the clock, so 13 seconds left to go in this first half. Blue Devils defense led by the new D coordinator, Avante Mitchell. He's a vocal leader at practices, a Detroit native. He began as the defensive coordinator from Concordia, and most recently he was defensive coordinator at Northwood University. Former coordinator for the Blue Devils, now over at Saginaw Valley State. And in reality, what Mitchell wants offenses to be against them, he just wants them to be fearful. He wants to know that they're going to get hit. He wants the offense to know that LTU's defense is going to play aggressive. We'll see what they do here. One wide receiver on both sides. Milton the back, and LTU is going to call a timeout here after taking a look at the formation of the Fighting Saints.
Good timeout play there by the Blue Devils as they really needed it. They look kind of discombobulated there. unable to really read the play, and they're going to talk it over, and it buys them some time also to catch their breath, as you said, Chase, about if they are going to be more aggressive here in these final 13 seconds.
Salam was the quarterback that came out. Obviously, that could be something that Coach Duvendek was looking at, whether it would be Dedman or Salam. With Salam out there, you kind of got around a 50-50 shot whether it's going to be a run or a pass. So we'll see what they do here. This is a retooled defensive line coached by Tony Roos. They lost the leader in sacks from last season, Tommy Larson. And this is a team that's been allowing 158 rushing yards per game, 238 passing yards per game. So passing defense has been pretty solid. Rushing could be better. They've been allowing 36 points per game this season. And it looks like we're going to have the same formation. Salam in shotgun formation, Milton the back. Got a late arrival. He's going to come into the slot. That's number 4, R.J. Williams. Haven't said his name much today. The give is to Milton. Milton to the outside, and he will get in for the touchdown. It looked like Mitch Waters had the chance to make the stop out on the left side, but couldn't bring him down. He brought him down. It would have been down around the 1-yard line. Couldn't make that tackle. And now the Fighting Saints up 34-20. And this will be the last play of the first half.
Those outside runs right now are really killing the Blue Devils. They just haven't been unable to stop it. I mean, the whole game really, it's been messing up their lingo and how they're going to be able to work through it.
And that extra point sails wide right, so still a 14-point margin. There is still 8 seconds left up on the clock. I assume we're going to see a squib kick here from the Fighting Saints after a couple of strong kickoff returns from the Blue Devils. This defense already allowing 34 points in this first half, and pre-game I was wondering what they could possibly do to stop this powerful running team. Maybe stay aggressive with these blitzes, stacking the box, but there's been a lot of runs to the outside, and really you can't do much with those inside linebacker blitzes stacking the box. I think for a majority of these cornerbacks, safeties really just got to read what's happening down there on the field and notice that there's a lot of runs to the outside and see if they can help stop the run at all. This linebacker crew for the Blue Devils, led by number 23, Daniel Max, a captain out of Rochester Hills, Michigan. Most tackles per game last year, 13 solo this year, 5 assisted. Kendall Williams, the deep back, waiting to receive, and they will squib it. And it's picked up by number 6, James Cartwright, who finds a little bit of a hole, but can't get much after that. And that will end the first half. So the Blue Devils pretty solid offensively. Kolka 10 for 11. Otero 10 attempts, 46 rushes and a touchdown. But this rushing defense that has plagued the Blue Devils all season long has plagued them here yet again today. Dwayne Milton, 13 rushes, 143 yards, 3 touchdowns today. Blue Devils doing a nice job of stopping Major Dedman, the running quarterback. But they haven't done anything to stop the run game itself. And a bit of a holdup on the field as the Blue Devils make their way into the locker room first. St. Francis will follow with a 34-20 lead. We'll see if the Blue Devils can get their defense going, stop that rushing game when we come back. I'm Chase Kaufman alongside Dylan Morello here on the Lawrence Tech Sports Network.
All right, Coach, you're down 2 scores after that first half, but the positive side has to be your run game, right? With your 2 starting running backs and Foley and Sabaw being out. What do you have to say about the guys stepping up?
Yeah, Kai and Ben have done a great job stepping in. You know, it's next man up in our organization. Whoever steps into that position, you know, they just continue to fill.
And another positive has been your red zone offense. You've been able to find the end zone. Is that something that you're looking for?
Yeah, always looking for the end zone. But last week we struggled with that. We came up empty a couple times and with some field goals. And this week we've been able to punch it in.
And one more positive thing that you can take away from that half, your special teams. You've gotten some big kick returns, putting your offense in great position to score in the red zone. So is that something that you constantly work on? It seems like your special teams has been great the past few games.
Yeah, Coach Belfie coaches our kick return team, and he's done a phenomenal job. And our kids have really bought into the system, and they execute well.
And like I said, down 2 scores, so you're heading into the locker room. What is your speech going to be in that locker room today?
We just got to do our job. We got to do our 111th, continue to execute. And, we've been in places to make tackles and finish those defensive drives, and we'll do that in the second half.
All right, thank you, Coach. Back to you guys.
when Captain America throws his mighty shield, all those who choose to oppose his shield must yield. Talking about heroes don't get any bigger. Lastly, with great power comes great responsibility.
So you want to work out, and you're curious about supplements, but don't know where to start. All you have to do is, oh, you're already done. With the Benefit Box, you get full-size supplements customized to you and tailored to your fitness goals. With easy-to-use instructions delivered right to your front door. Visit www.thebenefitbox.com to get started on building your box and you today.
What we've been working on with the girls is trying to grow the team to be more involved with athletics and being a competitive team. We did our first competitions last year, and it went really great. It was an amazing learning experience. It taught us a lot about what we needed to work on as a team. One of the things that we really got to do is we challenged ourselves to be dancing at a higher level. We've been working with the girls on choreography and really pushing our limits as a team.
Well, we went to camp this year, which we didn't do last year, and I think that was a really good bonding experience because it was a kind of a tough camp, and so we all kind of struggled together and kind of brought us together.
For practice, we normally get up, and our practices are from 6 to 8 a.m. on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then tomorrow we have pep rally, so we have a little bit of a practice before that. Saturdays is when the game is, and so we'll practice early in the morning on the field. We go to the tailgate, and then we perform.
It's very exciting because it's the first time our freshmen are going to perform for the school, and so they're going to dance for the crowd and have fun.
For us, we're planning on being almost there for every game. We're planning to keep it peppy, making sure the crowd is with us, and just excited overall.
What we're really trying to get people to see us as is the energy at the games. We want to be part of that group along with the band that's really building people up and getting them excited to be just in that whole atmosphere.
My name is Erin Atala. My major is biomedical engineering. I'm a freshman and I'm in the LTU marching band. I'd really like to go to Italy one day because I've been to Europe before and it's beautiful. M&Ms because I really like chocolate. Pineapple does not belong on pizza because I don't like pineapple and I don't think the flavors fit well together at all. My favorite thing about Lawrence Tech is the class size. I really like that they're small and personal and get to know your classmates and your teacher and ask them questions.
We are holding our prospect camp, and we open it up from 7th grade all the way up to seniors, going into their senior year. And we're holding it here at Troy Athens High School, and we got a gorgeous day for it. What it is people who have the dream of playing college softball. And for us, we have some people who are extremely interested in LTU that have come to the camp, or that they're looking to go on to college and play college softball. We go over It's more of advanced drills than just basic drills that we try to do here today.
I really like the prospect camp because there's always a lot of energy with these younger girls, so we get to help them out and grow their skills more, and we get to have fun while we're doing it and teach them like a lot of cool things that Coach Baird showed us.
My favorite thing is they always have a lot of energy. They always have, they're always high-fiving each other, and they talk a lot, and that's probably my favorite part.
We try and bring what we teach the younger kids to our fields. Like if there's something that our teammates aren't understanding, like we try and teach them like we would to teach the younger kids.
So we've got 2 freshmen here today, Aaron and Rylan. And I just met Aaron today and we're already clicking, and it really helps us to kind of learn each other's teaching styles. So it really helps us know how I learn, how Sarah learns. Like I learn different than Sarah, and it helps us to help each other.
I want the players here more than probably me. When they see the players doing the drills and being a part of it, it's for our players not only to give back to the game of softball, but also for our players to understand like the coaching aspect and how you do the drills and break down the drills. And our players do an awesome job with it.
So, Grace, I'd like to start out by saying welcome to the Lawrence Tech family. What emotions are you feeling right now as this starts to settle in and really become a reality?
I'm excited. I'm honored and humbled that Scott and the committee believed in me and my vision, and I'm excited and ready to get started.
Grace, when this job opening first came available, I guess what was the initial thought of why it might be a good fit for you?
I've been a part of the WAC as a player and a coach for 7 years. I'm really familiar with it and the competition and Lawrence Tech's players, the roster that they have returning. And so it was an attractive job to me, and I wanted to be back home in my roots.
how would you describe your coaching and recruiting philosophies?
I really think Coach Kai did a great job of establishing, going after driven character young women that are driven on the basketball court and in the classroom. And that's really what I want to continue to look for when we're fitting the LTU mold.
What stood out to you most about Grace during this process?
I think just her attitude and her enthusiasm. She seems like a real go-getter. She's going to have her work cut out. You know, recruiting in our conference is pretty tough, but I think she comes with a great background of recruiting a high student athlete, great GPA, so that's what kind of set her apart from the other candidates.
Inference how tough it's gotten for Lawrence Tech women's basketball, now back-to-back 21 seasons. We had a first-team All-American last year in Nicole Buckingham, the WAC Newcomer of the Year in Kendall Fisher. What are your expectations of this group moving forward?
You know, I expect her to pick up the ball and take off right where they left off. We have a lot of great talent coming back. We did lose a couple of key players, but I expect other people to step up, just like any team, right? Everyone's got to step up and do their role. Coach is going to come right in and get her hands dirty. It's going to be year one, so it's always going to be a different transition, you know, with a new team and a new coach. So we'll see how it goes.
Dahlia. I'm playing for LTU women's soccer and I'm majoring biomedical engineering. My favorite movie is The Titanic because every time when I'd go over to my grandma's house, we'd watch it together and eat ice cream every time we went. No matter if it was like 3 times a week, we'd watch The Titanic. My favorite hype-up song is Upgrade You by Beyonce because it's really upbeat and I love Beyonce. My favorite thing to do in my spare time is either watch Netflix, hang out with friends, or read if I'm interested in a book, which usually I'm not, but sometimes I am. There's small occasions where it happens.
I know. Josh Hallberry on the kickoff. Number 2, Kendall Williams goes back to the Blue Devils.
Back here for quarter number 3 as the Blue Devils attempt to even up this game at 34 apiece, down 34-20 right now. Kendall Williams back to receive, bobbles it a bit. Gets one block, finds a little bit of a hole, and he's tackled around the 31-yard line. And that's where the Blue Devils will start their drive. The Fighting Saints elected to receive to start the game. So Blue Devils will start out here in the third quarter. Blue Devils have been pretty consistent and balanced on offense here today. Tyler Kolka completing most of his passes, all but one today. And as for the running backs with Foley and Saba out, it was a question of whether these 2 other running backs, Otero, who's seen a lot of carries, and Ben Britton, who hasn't seen any carries at all, get something going this game, and they've showed they can compete with these teams. The problem is, on the defensive side, a ton of rushing yards allowed so far from the Blue Devils. St. Francis, typically a power rushing team. They don't do much passing at all. And today they are over the 200 mark. Dwayne Milton at 143 yards. That puts him at over 400 this season. Last season he rushed for over 1,000 yards. So the Blue Devils, obviously something in that clubhouse, in the locker room, had to have been something about, let's stop the run. We'll see if they can start the run here. Kolka back to pass, caught by Kendall Williams. Kendall out to, looks like about the 21-yard line for a nice 6-yard gain to start the second half. This St. Francis defense has a lot of solid players. One of them being number 47, Mason DeLong. Mason, a second-team all-conference member last season, had a couple interceptions, a couple sacks. Blake Evans, another linebacker out there, 13 solo tackles, 9 assisted tackles this year, even a forced fumble, a few tackles for loss. A lot of solid defensive players for the Fighting Saints. Kolka back to pass now, rolls out to his right, still have plenty of time. Out to Williams and just out of his reach. It looks like Williams didn't see it until the last second, couldn't make a good enough break for it. And it'll now be 3rd down and 4.
Williams there reached out, stretched for it. But once again, that's like the third time I've seen a long pass here today by Kolka. And that one just really unable to connect. Blue Devils, though, have to convert on this third down. I mean, they start off with possession here. It'll be great if they could score right off the bat. I'm sure they talked about that in the locker room, just being able to convert on these third downs. It's 3rd and 4 to go.
3-man front for the Saints. Pass out to C.J. Thompson for the first down at the 31-yard line. Nice pass there from the Blue Devils.
And right there, I mentioned it before, C.J. Thompson just finds those little open lanes, that soft spot in the coverage, and right there, virtually uncovered, was able to catch and gain some more. Blue Devils get that good third down conversion that we're looking for to keep the chains moving and this Blue Devil offense rolling.
Couple early pass attempts here for Kolka. Kolka out of Clinton Township, Michigan, Chippewa Valley High School. Last week had 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. This time the give to Otero, and he is stuffed out at the 30-yard line for a loss of 2. Tyler Kolka, his dream in high school was to play college football. He had the opportunity to walk on at BYU, but instead he came here to Lawrence Tech where he knew he'd be the guaranteed starter. One of the most energetic guys on the team. Had just under a 50% completion rate coming into this season, but this game going to bring that up a little bit. He's 12 for 14 right now with 96 yards and 2 touchdowns. And although the yardage isn't there, it looks like he's doing a really solid job of being a team leader out there today, knowing what defense is going to come out and knowing the offensive plays to run. Here's a give to Otero. Otero finds a little bit of a hole, able to gain, it looks like 4 on the play, out to the 36-yard line.
Good play, getting those yards back they lost in the last play. And once again, Kolka brimming with the confidence you just mentioned here, Chase. As you see right now, even talking up to his players. He's got the time to do it, trying to figure out what the play is here, what hand he's been dealt.
Got up to the line quickly. Single back is Otero. Kolka back to throw. Looks deep, a flag on the play. And that pass is caught by number 6, James Cartwright, the third. And there's a flag around the 37-yard line. We'll see what this is. It was an early throw. It was before the pass. And it looks like the refs are calling for the sticks to move. And it's actually just going to be a sideline warning on head coach Jeff Neuvendeck. So it'll be a first down Blue Devils now at their own 47-yard line. Blue Devils again making quick work. 3 wide receivers, single back, still Otero. Williams on the near side. Steele on the far side. He's alone out there. C.J. Thompson, the tight end, on the right side. The give is to Otero, and he'll be stopped. It looks like about a loss of 1. Otero out of Orlando, Florida, the sophomore, 5'8", computer science major. Just under 50 yards rushing today. And again, a quick get to the line for the Blue Devils. Otero out. Ben Britton, now the back.
Blue Devils trying to keep the Fighting Saints on their toes right now. They come quickly to the line, but still Kolko having to talk to his players, figure out what's going on, but
pass complete to number 2, Kendall Williams, and he'll be stopped just short of the first down marker, so it'll be about 3rd and 1 on the St. Francis 44 rather.
Williams 5'6", using his short stature to not phase him, and he gets through a couple of those bodies, finds a way to grasp onto that leather, pulls it in tight, and the Blue Devils doing well here, 3rd and 1, trying to get another third down conversion.
Kolka again looking to the sideline for direction from Coach Deuce. Kolka looks deep, gets hit, and an interception is dropped. That's R.J. Williams, the two-sided junior out of Brooklyn, New York. You can see him on offense, you see him on defense. He doubles as a wide receiver and a defensive back. And Kolka hit on the play, couldn't get all of it under it to Kendall Williams, and that had an opportunity to be picked off there.
That's the first time today I've seen the O-line for the Blue Devils really get beat pretty quickly off the snap, and they did. And Kolka, that's the first time I've seen him really get touched.
4th and 1 here. Kolka on the quarterback sneak, and it's going to be close. But the far judge is going to rule it a first down, so the Blue Devils now with a fresh drive coming up. 42-yard line. 43, rather.
Blue Devils doing really well on 4th down conversions. That brings them up now 4 for 6, 60%.
The give is to Otero to the left side. The left side's been pretty good for the Blue Devils all day. Gets down around to the 34.
26 Otero on the rush.
First and 10 now for the Blue Devils at the 33-yard line. Pretty balanced attack so far for the Blue Devils today. 116 passing yards, about 100 rushing yards. Otero still the back. Again, a 3 wide receiver, 1 tight end setup. We've seen that most of the day from the Blue Devils. Fake give to Thompson, and Thompson another reception. And it looks like he fumbled maybe, and picked up by James Cartwright around the 10-yard line. And I don't see a true signal from the refs yet, but it looks like it's going to be a touchdown Blue Devils. There is a flag on the play, so we'll have to wait and see before anybody gets overly excited.
The fans all up in arms cheering, but that's one of those plays, I mean, maybe an intentional fumble there. You get hit down, just drop the ball for your teammate that's in front of you. But nonetheless, beautiful play there by the Blue Devils. Once again, C.J. Thompson finding that open space.
It might have been, we couldn't really see much from up here. Maybe it was a short pitch. I couldn't really actually see the ball ever on the ground. Maybe the ball fly up in there, and they will rule it a touchdown. It's a personal foul penalty. Hit to the face on the defense. It'll be a touchdown Blue Devils. There'll be a targeting call on the Fighting Saints.
Number 4 is disqualified.
And he is disqualified. That's number 4, R.J. Williams.
So now the discipline for the Fighting Saints coming in. And the Blue Devils now only down by 1 possession if they get this extra point. Good, and also, too, on the last play, the Fighting Saints miss their extra point. So the Blue Devils back on even ground.
Bit of a holdup on the St. Francis sideline. Brad Gibson waiting to kick the extra point. Couple games in the Midwest, or in the Mideast Association right now. Siena Heights dominating Trinity International 42-0 at the half. St. Francis, Indiana up on St. Ambrose 17-0. And then we got a couple other games later tonight. Indiana Wesleyan will take an Olivet Nazarene later around 7 o'clock, as well as Marion and Robert Morris, Illinois, around that time as well. And the kick from Gibson sails just through the left upright to make it a 7-point game in favor of the Fighting Saints. So a nice drive there from the Blue Devils, make it a 34-27 game on the touchdown to Thompson, but given to Cartwright. The Blue Devils will see if their defense can stop the run of the Fighting Saints. We'll be right back after this on the Lawrence Tech Sports Network.
Grant Gibson on the kickoff.
LTU will kick off with just under 10 minutes to go. St. Francis has had a tough time this season getting the ball into the playmakers' hands, specifically Brandon Ruff, and we already talked about what he's been able to do from last year. Hasn't had much going for him today, just 2 receptions for 34 yards. So the defensive backs of LTU doing a really solid job, but it's the running game that LTU's got to stop on this drive here. The kickoff will be at the 50 due to the targeting penalty on that last touchdown play by R.J. Williams. And we've seen the dual quarterback threat between Salam and Dedman, so we'll see who we get to start the second half. This kick is going to sail out of the end zone for a touchback. Nice kick from Brad Gibson there. Give credit where credit is due. And the Fighting Saints will begin their drive in their own territory at the 25-yard line.
Once again, look here for the Blue Devil defense to come out strong. Their offense being really strong, too, coming out in the second half. That's exactly what the Blue Devils needed. Get the crowd into it right away. Get your bench into it right away. And, of course, led by Kolka.
Really, the St. Francis team has done a really interesting job with their schemes right now. They've sent out 3 wide receivers to one side, 1 to the other side for most of the day. The fake to Milton, and it was Major Dedman who got sacked on the play. It looks like it was an option play, and Dedman optioned to keep it, and there was nowhere to go on that one. Appeared to be number 22, Mitch Waters, on the sack.
Blue Devils' 4th sack of the season. Great play there as the fake didn't fake them out. And they get 2 blue sweaters right around the QB and drag him down.
Another run to the outside, this one to Milton. Milton cuts back from the right, back to the left, and isn't going to get much, maybe 1, maybe 2 yards. And anyways, as I was saying, 3 wide receivers out to one side, 1 to the other side. We really have not seen a lot of Malik Roberts, the junior large tight end, which is interesting for a lot of rushing plays that go to the outside. Typically, you want a tight end out there, but we have not seen a lot of him today. The run-first quarterback, Major Dedman, in the game. Milton still the back. Dedman back to pass. There's Malik Roberts, number 89, the tight end. And that is his 2nd reception of the game. But another nice defensive stop. We've seen a couple of those defensive stops, a couple 3-and-outs from the Blue Devils, or we've seen a lot of long, bad drives from the Blue Devil defense. That one right there, a great drive, 4th and 13, and the Blue Devils will get the ball right back.
That's what you love to see from the sideline, and just up here appreciating the balanced attack that the Blue Devils are showing right now. Great offense leads a great defense. You can't win a game without both. And right here, if the Blue Devil offense had come back again pretty strongly.
Sorry, Dylan, go ahead.
No, you're fine, Chase, go ahead.
A pretty solid punt here. Didn't have much hang time, but it got a pretty solid Fighting Saints bounce all the way out to the 20-yard line. Kendall Williams couldn't do much with it. The Blue Devils will have to go 80 yards if they want to tie this game up here. Halfway through quarter 3 here at Blue Devil Stadium. This is the Lawrence Tech Sports Network. Want to give credit real quick to this offensive line of the Blue Devils. They've done a really solid job. Robert Florence, Parker Schiller, James Thorpe. I can't quite make out everybody else, but everybody else deserves some credit too. James McLean, Luke O'Brien, Logan Reindress. I know there's a few guys out today on the offensive line. And this offensive line doing a really solid job of creating gaps, creating time for Tyler Kolka to throw. Kolka 15 for 18 today, It's around 83%. Kolka back. One running back next to him. Appears to be Otero for a 2-yard gain. Scratch that. That's actually Ben Britton. It's Britton's 6th carry on the day. Tackle made by number 51, Chris Johnson, the sophomore linebacker out of Hillside, Illinois. 7 solo, 12 assisted tackles on the year. He's also got a sack and a tackle for loss. Spencer Iaquinto back out on the near side. Kolka back to pass. 3 wide receivers, a lot of them going deep. Nice pass to Kendall Williams, who crosses over at the 35, gets out to the 50-yard line, and will be knocked out about the 46-yard line of the Fighting Saints. A nice crossing route there from Kendall Williams, and those are the interesting ones. Those are the ones where you got to be able to hang on the ball. Crossing routes are tough to run as a wide receiver because you just know there's going to be a linebacker waiting for you there to pop you. Nobody there for Kendall Williams. A nice gain out to the 46. First down, Blue Devils.
The only one really virtually there is Jonathan Poulin, as he really got crossed and unable to really get a hands on him, only pushed him to the outside, but nonetheless a big gain there by the Blue Devils. Get downfield, they're hemmed in their own end, now have some space to work with.
Kolka again back to pass, this one deep to Kendall Williams. Kendall Williams just out of his hands. It looks like he had it around the 11, but it dropped right through the breadbasket, and it'll be 2nd and 10. And Dylan, you were talking about Jonathan Poulin, who just made that nice play there, and it looks like Kendall Williams is down. Jonathan Poulin, one of the best defensive backs on this team, leads the team in tackles, a 2-time all-conference member in high school. And it looks like Kendall Williams may be grabbing his right ankle. That would be a huge loss for the Blue Devils. Already out. They're already out is Derek Hinton Jr., their number 1 wide receiver. Kendall Williams, typically their number 2 wide receiver.
Doesn't look too good right now as a bunch of bodies crowding around him. It seemed like when he dove for the ball, he kind of hit his head. It looked like he might have passed out a little bit. He's a little bit woozy, but nonetheless will most likely undergo concussion protocol, because it seemed when he dove forward, Chase, his head kind of made contact with the field before the rest of his body, and he kind of rolled over on top of it. Only speculation right now, but nonetheless, it would have been a beautiful play if he caught that. Kolka, you see when he does make a lot of good offensive plays, he starts getting comfortable there in the pocket, and he starts using his arm to its full capacity. And he rifled that one downfield, just unable to connect.
Blue Devils now in a single back formation. Steele and Cartwright on the near side. 2 tight ends. Give is to Ben Britton. Not much there. Back to the line of scrimmage, and that's about it. 3rd and 10 now on the 46. So Blue Devil is in that no man's land right now. Need to get a few more yards to create a comfortable 4th down attempt. Kai Otero will head back in. LTU started out their season with a loss to St. Xavier, 45-13. Defeated Wisconsin Lutheran, 34-14, and then lost last week's Olivet Nazarene, 45-13. Kolka back to pass, looks pretty deep and tipped off of Steele's hands, and they're going to rule this one incomplete. Almost an interception by number 20, Jalen Cooper, but it looks like it just hit the ground before he could catch it. So it'll be 4th down now. And the Blue Devil offense will stay out there. 5 minutes left to go here in the 3rd quarter. Very interesting to go for it here on the St. Francis 46, being 4th and 10. But I guess the defense hasn't done great all day, so I guess see what you can do when you have the ball. 2 wide receivers, couple tight ends, 1 back. And it'll actually be Kolka with the punt, no man back. And it's a decent punt out to the 16-yard line. I don't mind the idea there, nobody back. Settle for no return there, and St. Francis will start their drive at the 16-yard line. LTU has a bye next week, so I asked the coach, does the practice mindset change at all, knowing that you don't have a game next week? Do you think they put in more effort into practice and into the game this week? And his answer was, well, of course not. I hope their effort is 100% no matter when it is, no matter if it's the first game of the year, last game of the year, on a bye, before a bye. So the practice structure doesn't change either. And the give, another one out to the left side, is to Milton. And Milton is over the 20, over the 10, in for the touchdown. And Dylan, we saw this earlier in the first half. And once again, an 84-yard touchdown run for Dwayne Milton there.
Yeah, it's one of those things where really, I mean, at this point in the game, if we're seeing it, I'm sure the coach is going to see it. And right now the players just really aren't. And they're letting it through, and that's just tough. I mean, on that last play, once again, to the outside, you mentioned that box, and they're trying to read it, but they really can't. And the Blue Devils, I thought they were going to go for it. I thought the Blue Devils were going to go for it on 4th down. I mean, opponents are 5 for 5 on 4th down. Excuse me, it'll be 6 for 6 now after the Blue Devils got that one in this game against the Fighting Saints. But nonetheless, the Blue Devils don't, and it cost them a touchdown.
Extra point is good, 41-27. Let's go down to the field to Daniela, where we have an injury update. Daniela?
That's right, number 2, Kendall Williams, shaken up just a few plays ago. From where I stood, it looked like he landed in that kind of sense, so I'm hoping that he is just shaken up. You could see the frustration in wide receiver coach Antoine Mason as he's hoping
Looks like we're having some technical difficulties. Apologize for that, but it doesn't look like Kendall Williams is going to come back into this game. Wide receiver coach was a little shaken up over Kendall Williams, so we'll have to see what happens. And a ball hits the front returners, and that ball is picked up by number 11, Chris McCoy. Chris McCoy, a tight end out of Elmhurst, Illinois. Big Chicago Bears fan, calls himself the Juice or Chris Money McCoy. Had a marketing class with him. Quite the personality from Chris, great guy. Blue Devil offense stepping back out there. Down 14 once again, even after that solid opening drive in the first half, or in the first drive of the second half, rather. And this will be a loss of 2. That's Makai Otero again.
Yeah, so with those concussion protocol, Chase, it seems like even with those technical difficulties, that seems to be what they're doing right now with Williams.
2nd and 12 for the Blue Devils. Kolka now under center. Otero his back, gives to Otero. Otero looks like it found a hole for a second there, but just gets back to the line of scrimmage. Now 3rd and 10. Defensive front for St. Francis doing a really solid job of stopping the run inside the tackles. It's been out just outside the tight ends is where LTU has made their money on the runs. 3 wide receivers now. Thompson, the tight end, out to the right. Otero, the back. And Kolka under center. 3-man rush. Kolka rolls out quickly to the right, and Thompson again wide open for a nice third down conversion and a first down, Blue Devils. C.J. Thompson leading the team in receptions today, and he's done quite well taking over in this reception game with Derek Hinton Jr. out and now Kendall Williams out.
Yeah, Thompson ranked third in Lawrence Tech for yards per game, averaging around 30. So they looked to him for big gains, and he did that right there.
Kolka under center, one of the captains, one of the top 3 captains on this team. Throws, looks like it was intended out there. I believe it was Steele on the outside. Couldn't get it to him. Kolka, Iaquinto, and Daniel Max are the top 3 captains. Coach Duvendek said they by far got the most votes when they voted for captains earlier this season. 7 others were close for that final 4th spot, so what they decided to do was take one of those 7 guys each game, bring them out as the captain. But those main 3 guys are always captain. Those captains give the team a voice for maybe those guys that don't speak up all the time. They have someone to go to. Kolka gives to Britton. It'll be 3rd and long once again.
Beautiful tackle there by Mander, number 90 for the Fighting Saints, and he was able to cut through that O-line, just come from the outside and really wrap him up from behind.
3rd and long here. Britton the back. Cartwright, Iaquinto, and Steele, the wide receivers. Thompson, of course, the tight end. Had such a solid game so far today. 2 safeties over the top. And it looks like we're going to have a false start penalty here on James Cartwright, the 3rd. He was covered by number 36, Cody Randa. Cody pointed it out, and the ref saw it. Cody, senior linebacker out of Sandwich, Illinois. 9 solo tackles, 8 assists. So this will be 3rd and 15 now for the Blue Devils on the 39-yard line. Blue Devils converted on 3rd and long not too long ago. See if they can do it again here. Third and long, nobody to Kolka's right as wide receiver. And we're going to get a timeout here from Coach Jeff Duvendek. Not a place you'd like to use it, but on 3rd and 15, if it's necessary, it's necessary. Just over 2 minutes left to play in the 3rd quarter. Lawrence Tech looking at 3rd and long, down 2 touchdowns on their own 39-yard line. I'm Chase Kaufman alongside Dylan Morello. We'll be right back right after this. LTU back out there, 3rd and long, 3rd and 15. Kolka is 17 for 23 today. You got to assume they're going to pass here. Kolka in shotgun, has a little bit of time, finds Steele on the reception, out to the 30-yard line. A nice little, it looked like a nice route there, ran by Steele, gets him all the way down to the 31-yard line. Perfect route there. It'll be a first down, Blue Devils. Just his 2nd reception on the day. That nice little post route he ran. Got him open ahead of the linebackers before the safeties. Perfect play, perfect pass. First down, Blue Devils. A little under 2 minutes to play here. Otero, the back to Kolka's left. Kolka in shotgun. C.J. Thompson, the tight end, out to the right. Same 3 wide receivers we've seen since Kendall Williams has been out. Give to Otero out to the right side, and he is dragged down around the 25-yard line. So a nice pickup of 6 yards there. It'll be 2nd and 4.
That's exactly what the Blue Devils have to do. Just get a nice yardage every play, slowly pick away at this lead. I mean, once again, the Fighting Saints really have been able to withstand it. I mean, they were tied up at 14 for a bit, but then that next play, they got that cushion back. It's been a two-possession game pretty much the whole time, and the Blue Devils, once again, trailing from behind. I like what I've seen the last two plays, just trying to get up the field.
Kolka under center, looks back, looks to throw, and he'll throw short of the intended receiver, Marquez Steele.
Steele on that last reception had that nice right slant there, cut to the middle, and he was able to dodge a few tackles, get upfield. But once again, the Blue Devils now on third down, trying to get it 3rd down and 5 to go.
They sent Thompson out as a wide receiver on that play. He'll be back on the line this play. 3 wide receivers to the left. Otero again the single back. Haven't seen a lot of 2-back formations from this LTU offense. Give to Otero. Gets a nice hold of start, but he'll be stopped with, looks like about 2 yards to go. And the play clock matching right up with the quarter or the game clock. So we'll see if the Blue Devils go for it here or if they let the clock or the play clock run out or the time clock run out. Doesn't look like they'll be able to. 14 seconds left on the play clock. Guy's not at the line yet. 10 seconds now. Not a play where you want to rush the line if you don't have to. Kolka under center, 2 backs. Give to Otero, and he finds a hole, breaks a couple tackles, and he is right at the line of scrimmage. And it looks like it's going to be just enough for a 1st down. No signal yet. Sticks haven't moved. And it'll be a 1st down Blue Devils to end the 3rd quarter.
First by inches there, but beautiful play, like you just said, to end the 3rd quarter. Gets them rallied up, and if they could punch it in, they've been pretty good in the red zone so far today. We saw that after first half interview with Coach Duvendek, and he said you love to get in the red zone, and anytime you are in, you do want to punch it in. So beautiful play. Let's see how the Blue Devils come up with it.
Ball will be on the Fighting Saints 19 to start the 4th quarter. Blue Devils down 14, looking to score here to make it 1 score. Chase Kaufman alongside Dylan Morella. We'll be right back on the Lawrence Tech Sports Network. So the Blue Devils at the 21-yard line now. They've run the ball well. They've thrown the ball well. 223 yards passing, over 100 yards rushing. Ben Britton now the back, 4 wide receivers. One of them being C.J. Thompson, the big tight end on the far side. Kolka back to pass, looks deep, and he's overthrown James Cartwright, number 6, on 1st down. LTU with a bye next week. We'll take on Indiana Wesleyan the week after that. Siena Heights homecoming game on the 19th of October at Marion, and then they'll play at home against St. Francis and then against Concordia and finish out the season at Taylor, Indiana. 2nd down now. Kolka under center. Ben Britton his back. 3 wide receivers out to the left, as well as it looks like Thompson's on the right side. Kolka back to pass, looks deep, looks for Steele, just out of his reach. And that's a tough play to make, Dylan. Those ones where it's coming over your head and you really just can't see it till the last second. That was one of them right there.
Yeah, you really just have to put your hands out in front of you, kind of like a basket, and kind of hope it kind of lands in there. And that one goes right through the wickets of it. And the Blue Devils once again faced with another 3rd down. This one long 10 to go. So they've converted on the last 2. I'm excited to see how they do here.
Same back, Ben Britton. Kolka back to pass. Looks Thompson's way. Will go over to Spencer Iaquinto, and he will make the catch. Won't be enough for a first down. About 4th and 5 now.
So let's see if they go and try to go for it once again on 4th down, or they bring out Gibson.
I assume they're going to go for it here, being down 2 full scores, knowing your defense hasn't done well for the entirety of the game. Have done much better this second half, other than the one long 83-yard run they gave up to Milton. But we'll see what they do here. Kolka under center. Spencer Iaquinto goes from left to right. Now on the near side, Ben Britton the back, 4th and 5, and we're going to get a timeout called here by St. Francis. Again, trying to look at the formation, see what they got to work with here. It'll be an interesting play call here. 4th and 4. They've run the ball well. They've thrown the ball well. Obviously depleted at both wide receiver and running back, but these guys have stepped up nicely. Mainly C.J. Thompson, Makai Otero. Ben Britton has stepped up nicely in his first game this year.
When people go down to injury, that's when you really see the people that are under the fold, the diamonds in the rough, so to speak, really come out to the forefront and show how they can play. And as you just mentioned, those couple of names there, they're ones that have came up, and if the coach is putting trust in them, so will the players, and everybody rallies around that. So I'm excited to see it. It is a next man up type of attitude this team has, and right now, a couple of those no-name players making one for themselves.
Making a name for sure. Ben Britton still the back. C.J. Thompson on the left side now as the tight end. Now motions out to the right. Spencer Iaquinto on the near side by himself, man on man. Kolka fakes the give, looks towards Iaquinto's way, rolls out to the right, throws towards Iaquinto, and it's just out of his hands. It looked like he had it for a second there and dropped it. So the dual player Iaquinto cannot come up with a catch. Has been a defensive back most of the year, a wide receiver this game, obviously with a couple guys out. And a rough drive there that ends in no points for the Blue Devils. And now this defense has really got to make a stand. They cannot afford to be down 3 touchdowns with just 1 quarter left to play.
It's tough when you get mere inches away from putting a score on the board and you come out empty, especially with all that hard work getting down the field. They had, once again, not too great field position.
And we got a flag on the play, and it looks like it's gonna be a false start on St. Francis. Interesting defensive line now for the Blue Devils. Got Will Sturts, has been such a power defensive lineman this season. Then we got Zach Brown out of Gaines, Michigan, 4 solos, 4 assisted tackles. Leads the team with 2 sacks. Then we got tight end Chris McCoy also on the line. So very interesting defensive line right now. Give is to Milton. Milton out to the left, makes a guy miss and taken down by number 11, Chris McCoy, the normal second tight end on this Blue Devil team.
So Blue Devils getting that flag in the latter stages there, able to push them back a little bit. And that's going to help them, as you just mentioned, they need a big stop here.
2nd and 12 now. And it'll be Deadman looking deep. And pretty nice defense there. That's by number 24, C.J. Davidson. It was a late pass. It was interesting. It didn't look like Major Deadman was ready for the snap, bobbled it a little bit, but found a guy man-on-man out there. But C.J. Davidson able to earn himself a pass breakup, his 2nd of the year.
This notification is offsides against Lawrence Tech.
And actually there was a flag on the play. It was a free play for the Fighting Saints, offsides on Lawrence Tech. So those are, again, those discipline penalties that Coach Duvendek does not want to see. And on the opposite side of that, the Fighting Saints have been pretty solid with penalty yardage today. That wasn't really a problem all this year, especially against Concordia last week. However, they also didn't have any takeaways last week against Concordia. They have one here today, an early fumble in the first quarter. This give is to Milton. He's going to get out to around the 25-yard line, which will be close to a first down. It looks like he just barely will get it, and that he will. First down, Fighting Saints.
Yeah, talking about the discipline, they've only had 19 penalties for a total of 194 yards on the season. So they bear down into that system, try to have good discipline. And once again, you see with those extra yardage, that's the key to any game, the difference between winning and losing, really.
Major Dedman in at quarterback, the dual threat quarterback. Try to get the Blue Devils to jump on a hard count. Gives the ball to Milton. Milton finds a little bit of a hole on the right. Won't get much, though. About 5 yards, a pretty solid gain.
Nice job there just by the Blue Devils to limit him to 5 yards. I mean, they've been running, and when they do get a big hole, I mean, it's at least 9 or above. So the Blue Devils find a way to wrap up there.
I expect to see a lot of rushes out from this Fighting Saints team. They rank 34th out of 93 in rushing yards per game at 164. And this seems to be their identity. They are a rushing team, especially when Major Dedman's in at quarterback. But when they need the pass, they have a solid pocket passing quarterback in Jamal Salam. And the give again to Milton inside the tackles, and enough for a 6-yard gain and a first down, Fighting Saints.
Milton's just really solid. I mean, anytime he has the ball, he sees the holes. He has great vision, moves his feet well, dodges the tackles, and the Blue Devils still, once again, unable to find his number. It's getting to the latter stage of this game where you really think, I mean, they should know his game plan, but he still finds a way to change it up and get past that Blue Devil defense.
3 wide receivers out. Milton, again, the running back. Give again to Milton. Not getting much here, a couple yards. Tight end right now is Keegan James, the junior, out of Sheridan, Michigan, so back in his home state. We haven't seen a ton of Malik Roberts yet. We haven't seen a lot of Brandon Ruffin either, their top wide receiver. Michael Johnson now the back in the game. He's to Dedman's right. Dedman tries the hard count, doesn't get much there. And the quarterback's going to keep it, goes over to the 40, gets a block for number 9, over to the 20, and out to around the 10-yard line. Again, a rushing play for a huge gain for the Fighting Saints. The Blue Devils have had a few of those today, and that one hurts. Fighting Saints looking to go up 3 scores now.
Blue Devils allowing at least 158 rushing yards per game, and this one well over that. And once again, it is because of that nature of the QB back there, liking to run either by handing it off or with his own feet.
Dedman absolutely killing it on the option game today. This one gives to Johnson on the outside the tackles. Johnson looks like he'll get the first down, but he'll be around the 3-yard line. Just over 10 minutes to go.
That outside run, if it's not going to be stopped, they're going to keep going to it. And right now, for St. Francis, Illinois, that's exactly what they're doing, and it's been proving results as, once again, the Blue Devils are stymied back in their own zone.
Milton now the back, out to his left. Tight end, Keegan James to his left. Couple wide receivers out to the left, one to the right. Give is to Milton, and Milton easily goes in for the touchdown. Offensive line just pushed and pushed. And the St. Francis, Illinois Fighting Saints will now be up 3 scores against the Blue Devils.
they're a team really that you can't look at their record and say they're a bad squad. 1-3, it seems daunting when you look at it just on the playbook and the score sheet. But this team, really, they've faced some good opponents. It's not going to get any easier from here. But nonetheless, they really are a strong team, just pretty well-rounded. As that one splits it up right, and the Blue Devils now down by 3 possessions.
Offense hasn't been a problem for the Blue Devils this game. But if they want a chance to come to this game, this offense is going to have to pick it up. Not on the field with plays, but the quickness of the plays. We saw them kind of go and hurry up in their last couple drives. We'll see how quickly they start to go here. Down 48-27. We'll take a short break. We'll be right back here on Lawrence 6 Sports Network. It'll be Ben Britton back out to receive the kick. Just under 10 minutes to go. And that was the question mark for the Blue Devils this game. Could they stop the run? They didn't stop the run at all last week. And this week, just too many big chunk plays for the Fighting Saints. And a little bit of a squib kick there, picked up by Cartwright. Cartwright over the 25. Gets a couple blocks, but doesn't get much. He'll be out to the 35-yard line. And that's where the Blue Devils will try to make up some ground with just under 10 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter.
Deontay Rogers made the tackle for St. Francis.
Tackle made by Deontay Rogers.
At the 35-yard line. The Blue Devils start first and 10.
So another question here, Dylan, for the Blue Devils. Do you start going with the pass a little bit more, or do you keep it continuing with the run? The run's been pretty successful, but that's going to eat up some time on the clock.
No, yeah, that's exactly what I was about to say. You're working against the clock now. That's the enemy of the Blue Devils. You just mentioned their offense really hasn't been the struggle for them this game. I would definitely go for the throw, though, if you get a quick scoring play and a quick 3 and out.
And Kolka hit as he was throwing the pass. And that's going to be a fumble recovery by number 17, Blake Evans, the junior linebacker. It didn't look like Kolka saw him coming through, but Kolka says that was a pass. And it looks like his argument is going to be to no avail. They're going to say the pass did not go through before the ball was tipped, and that is a major, major break for the St. Francis, Illinois Fighting Saints.
No, yeah, that's exactly what they drew up, though. Get in early on Kolka, and they find a way to pop his arm. I mean, it looked like almost a forward motion, but to no avail. You saw Kolka trying to fight against the ref there, but now amazing field position for the Fighting Saints, and they're looking to extend this lead by even bigger margins.
That's Barberin with the carry now. Haven't seen much of him yet today. 16 attempts, 92 yards on the year. And Jamal Salam is back in at quarterback, which is kind of surprising to me considering there's only 9 minutes left in the game, up 3 scorers. I figure you'd want 2 running backs, well, a running back and a running quarterback in the backfield, since you're probably going to run at most of these plays in the rest of the fourth quarter. Ruffin by himself on the near side. Salam in the shotgun. The give is to Barberin again. Barberin working his way through all the way out to the 9-yard line. A strong run for a first down, Fighting Saints.
Pretty much the same exact play in the last 2 carries, and the Blue Devils unable to find it. And the Saints right now easily working through. The Blue Devils kind of seem a little bit shaken up after that last turnover, playing back on their heels. And it's pretty much been going on all game.
Salam again in shotgun. Barberin to his right. Barberin, a junior out of New Orleans, Louisiana. Just over 8 minutes to go. Again, the give to Barberin. Not much there. St. Francis looking to go up 4 scores. Crowd kind of quieting down late in the fourth quarter now. You got to assume they're just going to run the ball once again. 2nd and 10 at the 9, or 2nd and goal, I should say. The give once again to Barberin. And somehow makes his way down at the 1. It looked like he should have been stopped around the 8 or 9, but pushed his way through, and it'll be 3rd and probably about a yard to go.
Beautiful spin play there by him. He used the momentum of the tackle to really roll off of it. And he gains that extra, as you just said, Chase, 7 yards from where we thought he'll be taken down.
These are the situations where you should probably start staying aggressive, stacking the box. They haven't run to the outside much yet. Last few runs have been inside with Barberin. Give to Barberin, is inside the tackles, and he is in for the touchdown. So Barberin, the main player on that run, or on that drive, makes the score 54-27. Trying to make it 55-27 will be Holberry.
That's pretty much been the tale of the tape here tonight in this game, and pretty much throughout the whole season, besides the Blue Devils' lone win on it, is just unable to stop the rushing game by opponents, and turnovers and penalties costing them big yardage.
Extra point is good. So 55-27 now in favor of the Fighting Saints. This game is kind of run away from the Blue Devils. It was 34-27 at one point. 21-0 scoring run for the Fighting Saints. Take a short break. We'll be right back right after this.
Ben Britton goes back to the Blue Devils.
.6:44 to go here in the fourth quarter. Ben Britton back to receive the kick once again. Holberry again with the squib. Guess playing it safe from those kickoff returns. Cartwright picks it up. And that kickoff return eerily similar to the last kickoff return we had. Out to around the 31-yard line. And the Blue Devils, down 4 scores, just over 6 minutes to go, are going to have to score very quickly here if they want any shot of coming back to win this game.
It's one of those opportunities, too, for Coach Duvendek to really put in some players who don't get too much playing time, try to test them out, but also to see in his own squad who has that never-give-up attitude, playing to the final whistle, I think is key for any coach to see his players do.
Makai Otero, his back to the right. Kolka back to pass. Looks towards Steele's way, and Steele almost had a nice grab there. Couldn't come down with it, though. Number 28 and number 39 there on the stop. It's Rio Strama out of Shorewood, Illinois, and Jonathan Poland out of Joliet, Illinois. An amazing amount of rushing yards thus far for the Fighting Saints today. Milton 253, Dedman 77, Johnson 56, Barberin 28. Here's the give to Britton. He's only going to get about 4 or 5 yards here. Clock is running still.
Chris Peters made the stop.
Kolka looking for direction from the sideline. Britton still the back. Play clock down to 20 seconds now. They got to start hurrying up if they want any chance. And again, a give to Britton here. Bounces off a tackle and is brought down around the 48-yard line. That'll be a first down.
Nice play by Strama there of the Fighting Saints to get in and get the tackle as Britton was breaking through a couple of them.
I assume we're going to start seeing the Blue Devils start to throw a little bit here. Clock running, under 6 minutes now. Kolka takes the snap, flag on the play after the snap. And a nice play there by number 39, Jonathan Pullen. But it looks like maybe an offsides penalty. There are flags at the line of scrimmage on both sides of the field. So we'll see what it is. It'll actually be an illegal formation penalty against the Blue Devils. 5:32 left on the clock. 1st and 15 now. If there's any positive the Blue Devils can take away from this on defense is that their defensive backs have done a pretty solid job stopping their big wide receivers and big tight ends. Brandon Ruffin only a couple receptions, 34 yards. Malik Roberts, 2 receptions, 13 yards. The target's probably not all that high over there considering the running game was so strong today for the Fighting Saints. But still, it's a positive to take away from this game.
Yeah, definitely so, and especially when they get on the practice field all next week. You mentioned they have the bye week. I mean, there's a lot to work on. They got the tough opponent of Indiana Wesleyan coming in, and that's going to be away. So, nonetheless, a road game is tough, and give it to the Blue Devils right now. If the score keeps up with it, we'll decline to 1-4, or excuse me, 1-3 on the season.
Just over 5 minutes to go. 2nd and 15 now. Kolka back to pass. Looks left, looks right, gets hit a little bit. And his pass is way out of bounds, intended for Marquez Steele.
Anytime Kolka's been hit, his arm has been targeted right away as they come from that right side. And the last time they did it, it caused a turnover. That time, the pass is just errant.
St. Francis, Illinois defense doing a much better job than they did in the first 2 games of the year. They gave up 136 points in their first 2 games. Granted, it was against the number 1 and number 3 ranked teams of the season, so not much you can do there. The last couple have been better, just 52 points allowed total. And Tyler Kolka is going to be brought down, a sack made. That's number 99, Chris Peters out of Frankfort, Illinois, junior defensive lineman. And the Blue Devils, 4th and long, are just going to elect to punt here.
That's St. Francis's 8th sack on the year. Total of 37 yards around there. And nonetheless, the O-line for the Blue Devils really crumbled that last play.
Dylan, you were talking about those sacks, and 8 sacks in the year is pretty impressive. They lost their sack leader, Deshaun Dickinson, from last season. He has not played a game yet this season, but the defensive line still a pretty solid defensive line. This punt will end up at the 45-yard line.
No, yeah, definitely solid. Even without a couple of players, are kind of in the same situation as the Blue Devils are. Really, next man up attitude. The people that have replaced him have come to the forefront pretty strong here. And like I said before, the record doesn't really indicate how strong this team is. I mean, they came in 1-3. You think they might be on the same level as the Blue Devils, but right now, just a little bit more fine-tuning the Blue Devils need to do to get to that high compete level that they're looking for to stay in these games.
Just over 4 minutes to go here. Quarterback is now Major Deadman. They've flip-flopped a lot throughout this game, and the give is to Milton. And I think it's no surprise that they are most likely going to be running the ball this entire drive here.
Robbie Best and Chris McCoy made the tackle.
As we get down to the end of the game, want to remind you that you can catch all the highlights from this game and our many other LTU athletic teams on the LTU Sports Report, premiering on Mondays at 4:30 on Fox Sports Detroit. Seen a couple new faces out for some wide receivers. Noah Fritz, he's out there now, along with Seth Williams, the freshman out of Chicago, Illinois. Daniel Getch, we haven't seen much of him. He's now out there, sophomore wide receiver, freshman wide receiver, excuse me, out of West Chicago, Illinois.
Both squads, with the score being so high, can bring in those bench players.
And there were a couple questions surrounding St. Francis pre-game. They had to find their identity. They played 3 very good teams. Didn't really know what their team was going to be like. And obviously we've seen here the dual threat quarterback in Major Deadman, along with the pocket passing quarterback in Jamal Salam. I like what they really did this game. They switched out between quarterbacks based on what they saw from the previous drive, and it's worked out really well for them.
I think their identity really is one that you can't read, and I think that's a good identity to have. It's kind of like a catch-22 there, but I think not having an identity, at least offensively, has been strong for them, because the Blue Devils really haven't been able to match that style of play on their defensive side. For the defense for the Fighting Saints, though, I just think they're really strong. I mean, they've been stopping pretty much the passing play of Kolka all game. He had that one touchdown, or 2 touchdown pass, to C.J. Thompson. But besides that, really has had to keep to the ground. Got sacked a couple times, a couple of turnovers there as well. So their defensive identity really strong down the middle and coverage-wise. Offensively, I don't really think they have a certain set-in-stone identity, but it's helping them as it keeps the team against them on their toes.
St. Francis came in 85th out of 93 in passing yards per game at just 107 yards. And with putting up 55 points, you'd think they'd have over 107 yards passing, right? Nope, they are at 74 yards passing right now. Toss to Milton. Gets to almost the 50. But it's not like their passing game has been irrelevant. Their passing game has been pretty solid to where they can have a balanced offense, rush the ball when they need to, pass the ball when they need to. Salam went 5 for 7 today, 53 yards. Deadman 3 for 4, 21 yards and a touchdown. So their passing game was pretty solid today. They just didn't really need to use it at all today.
No, especially when you have someone like Deadman back there who really just gets big rushing yards just with his own feet, doesn't even need to hand it off. It causes some confusion on the back line for the Blue Devils, and it allows them to really just work the ground game. And, I mean, when you score 55 points and have that little passing yards, the ground game has to be good, and it has been for them.
4th and 7 now, and we'll get another timeout here from St. Francis. What's really interesting about the St. Francis team, both these quarterbacks that have been rotated in and out this game are both freshmen. They're both new quarterbacks. They lost Don Butkus and Aaron Ellis last year. And if you're wondering if Don Butkus is related to the great Dick Butkus, you'd be right. He is the great nephew. Fun little fact there.
I think that's one of the key components, too, of having that 2 interchangeable QB system is both of them are freshmen. I don't know if their coaching staff is really trying to find, a bona fide starter for them right now early on in the season as we get past the first quarter of it for their team at least. But nonetheless, both of them really have shown signs of brilliance, and it's going to be a tough decision if they are trying to find a bona fide starter. But right now, if this little interchanging between the 2 works, and if they're friends off the field as well, I'm sure it wouldn't be a problem, and they'll probably keep to it.
That starter in the first few games was definitely Major Deadman, but after he was taken out last week against Concordia, going 0 for 8 and 2 interceptions, they threw in Jamal Salam to see what he could do. Went for 9 for 16 last week in a little over a quarter, and obviously they understood what he could do, and we've seen a lot more of him in this game. Before last game against Concordia, he only had 6 rushing attempts for -8 yards. So obviously he didn't get much work, but last game he showed what he could do. Even in a loss from Concordia 30-7, he threw a touchdown pass to his brother, Jamil Salam, in that game. And now he's proven that he's a 50-50 starter along with the dual threat quarterback, Major Deadman.
It's one of those things, too, that you really don't know what someone could bring to the table until they get in, and he capitalized on that opportunity. We mentioned a couple of the Blue Devil players due to injuries, although that was just a bad performance to the reason he got in, but really have taken their new role and have made a name for themselves. And right now it's one of those internal competitions that coaches love because, as you said, the bona fide starter may have been Deadman, but right now he has some backwards push and backlash from his own teammate, and it's going to cause him to play even stronger.
Got a fresh set of guys out there for the LTU offense. Now in at quarterback is sophomore Tanner Jeska, 5'11", 185 out of Monroe, Michigan. Did get some reps and blowouts last season, a lot of important ones. Has not had a pass attempt this season yet. We'll see if he gets one here. A few new guys on the offensive line as well. Brian Mackey, John McIlvain, Luke O'Brien out there. I formation for the Blue Devils. Haven't seen a lot of that today. And they'll run it once again, this time out to the 12-yard line. Or the 9-yard line, rather. 40 seconds left to play here for the Blue Devils.
3rd down and 7.
3rd and 7. Probably going to be the last play of the game. See if they give Jeska an opportunity to throw here. So the Blue Devils are going to drop to 1-3 on the season. They'll have a little bit of extra time to rest up. Jeska will drop back to pass, rolls out to his right, and is just going to throw it away here. So 6 seconds left on the clock. One more play should do it. And it looks like they'll send the punt team out there just to get them an extra rep. As mentioned before, they'll have a bye next week, and then they'll be at Indiana Wesleyan on October 12th. That's a team they lost to a couple times last season, so we'll see if they can grab some revenge. A low snap. Ball on its way, and we'll jump out around the 37-yard line, and that will do it. St. Francis came out here ready to run, ready to use both quarterbacks, and they did that very well. They blow out Lawrence Tech in the rushing game. They ran for well over 300 yards for a 55-27 win. It was 34-27 at some point, but LTU's defense couldn't hold up with this power offensive St. Francis Illinois Fighting Saints. We'll see you guys in a couple weeks on October 19th against Siena Heights. That'll be the homecoming game. Our final score here, St. Francis Illinois Fighting Saints 55, Lawrence Technological University Blue Devils 27. I'm Chase Kaufman alongside Dylan Morello, producer Kia Tias, cameraman Denver Rokon, Alex Johnson, along with Kavan Higdon. We'll see you next time on the Lawrence Tech Sports Network.